know by now that you would go and get it, but I could hardly see niggas this distant. Know you get cropped if you not in the picture. And I made that tag and went got a bag. Shots to the Henny and OG prescriptions, put rebel shit on the map. Took a leap from where I started at, started ballin' now I'm Chris Paul and Cat. Got him steady calling for the mold, but I'm on a roll, gotta call him back. And that's all fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. All carry-on items should now be stowed securely, either in an overhead bin or under the seat in front of you. All aisles, exits, and bulkhead areas should now be clear. All electronic devices should now be turned off and stowed, as they may interfere with the aircraft's navigational and communication systems. Once airborne, we'll let you know when you may use approved electronic devices, but note that some items may not be used at any time during the flight. You'll find a list of approved devices in the in-flight information section.
Ready for takeoff?
All right. Welcome everybody to another episode of Hot Program. I don't know if my one black friend is, let me refresh mine. It could be on mine. What's up, everybody? It's really good to see everybody here. We've also got the crew, the gang is gathered, which is, always going
all of
to...
this, I mean, the Pennsylvania, Trump just said it. They found in Pennsylvania that everything we said was right. They're just not showing it all at one time to show how much fraud there really was. I don't know if you've seen 2,000 Mules, but that shows exactly.
All right. There's my one black friend. Hi, how you doing today, sir? All right, y'all. Y'all know what it is. It's your host with the most from the East Coast. And now for a man who, if he was a fish, still would not worship the one true God. A man who needs no introduction. How you doing today, sir?
I cannot hear him.
I can't hear him either. We can't see him, though. He looks radiant and very my one black friendish. It's friendish. It's a whole vibe. All right, let's see. I feel like I was being a little obtrusive there. No, we still can't hear you. I might just need to refresh it sometimes. If you have the correct audio settings and you're still not hearing yourself, then
I hear me.
There it is. We can hear you now.
All right.
Yeah, fantastic. How you doing today?
I'm good. Not buying any more Asus products.
Not buying any more Asus products. Oh, it's not a good look for Asus.
No.
So
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So I don't know how much you've been caught up on, but I think there's only really one thing that needs to be discussed this week. This wasn't the week where it was like hard to figure out what to talk about.
The elections or something else?
No, Doug.
No, I don't know what happened with Doug. Is he okay?
Is he okay? Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't think he's okay. Something wrong with him. That's for sure.
Well, hold on.
Something wrong with him. That's for sure. Well, a lot of us have cut off the PineCreek. We are. Yeah. Today, this was the last week of PineCreek. Boom.
Wait a minute. Am I back? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You're back.
Okay. So wait a minute. I don't know what the story is.
I'm trying to pull it up. I'm trying to find it for you.
Okay, and I will try to make my monitors work.
Does anybody know where to find these things about these like his little shorts are all right, I'm gonna share my screen and then maybe can somebody help me find these clips from the Dukester, the Doogly one.
So wait, I'm concerned.
Don't be concerned. There's nothing to be concerned.
That's me. That's how my brain works.
He's just a privileged little douchebag.
Really? What?
It's just. I'll show you. Sorry, I should stop poisoning the well. Where's?
Oh no! Don't worry. I'm capable of forming my own opinion.
All right. Let me see if somebody hit me with something in the chat.
And hello, everyone in the chat and James.
What did AR came through with the. All right, now I just got to get over to the chat because I was totally prepared for that. Obviously, never catch me slipping. Obviously, never. And also, why doesn't this thing ever help me change over the titles and stuff? All right, so let me see. I got some links finally. Matter of fact, though, let me log in with my other account because it'll make sure we don't get hit with capitalism.
Yeah.
All right, we'll close the other tabs. We'll pull up the things. We'll go to the live chat. Come on, show me the live chat. What does a man have to do to see his own live chat around here?
I had a very busy week, even down to working yesterday. So I don't know.
All right.
I didn't listen to his podcast. I listened to Cult of Dusty. That's the only podcast I made it through because I watched it last night.
All right. So oh my goodness, I forgot about this. I didn't even think about the sound effect. Oh my Lord, this guy is just all right. So let me. Here's what needs to happen. I need to use a little boy's room. I'm getting caffeinated, y'all, and when I get caffeinated, the everything starts going. You know, everything's.
You know what? I take many a bathroom break on this show. I invite you to do the same.
So, I think we should let James filibuster here. James, talk to us about. Here's a good subject, James. Tell me why you ain't been fucking with Doug for a long time. Tell me why you just have never been on the bandwagon. What did you see early on that it's taken the rest of us this long?
All right. So what I saw from the start is a man with far-right talking points who is apparently oblivious to the fact that he gets his views manufactured by the machinery of far-right media, which is really just tabloid media. You know, back in the 80s, there was this magazine called The Inquirer, and then later it was The Sun. They've got, tabloid magazines where they talk about lizard people and Bigfoot and all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. But they publish it like it's real. And back then, like, only a very small, peculiar percent of the population took that shit seriously. But a lot of people bought the magazines because it was entertaining. And eventually, media giants realized that shit, we could really market this. Like, we could really manufacture some false paradigms and capitalize on them. Mm-hmm. And so what's happening is he's got these hyper-religious conservative Christians who are a big part of what feeds the machine. And that machine, in turn, feeds Doug. And Doug, in turn, feeds the community. Doug doesn't realize that every time he exposes Christians on his gotcha interviews, that he's biting the hand that feeds him. He's discrediting a part of the population that's part of a larger structure of people that are feeding the machine that feeds him. It's just a big loop, big circle, and he doesn't get that. So, it's a very common problem, and there's no good solution to it yet, because everybody's wrestling with how do we fix this problem where media can manufacture consent so effectively, where they can push these talking points and these narratives that just use elements of reality to sow a bigger and destructive unreality, to where the people plugged into those machines do not know that their reality is so incredibly skewed that it merits no respect, and that they shouldn't be anywhere near a voting booth. And these people tend to be, and Doug's one of those people, or they don't do any real fact checking. It just, they hear stuff on shock jock news, and what's the guy that just got in big trouble? That just
Alex Jones?
Alex Jones. Those kind of guys.
There's good. James Apperson, welcome to the program.
Right. Exactly. So they hear that shit, and they're and I've listened to those podcasts before, those broadcasts, those news shows and stuff. And if you don't know any better, it sounds credible. It sounds like they're giving you the real scoop. If you know better and you understand propaganda and how it works, and you already got more accurate information and you know how to do research and fact checking, then you understand in a broader context what's happening there. But it's easy to see, if you just sit there and listen to those broadcasts, it's easy to see how it could really polarize a lot of people with these false narratives and really get them upset, because a large part of it is just this emotional manipulation, and it makes people feel righteous. They're righteous defenders of the grand truth of all the evil people we need to stand up against, all those black people and the brown people and the Chinese people and all of our enemies, and the atheists and the liberals and the blue hairs, right? It's all these people, and they always take the worst possible examples and misrepresent it as what the left is like, or what liberals are like, or what all women with blue hair are like, and what Democrats are like. And half the time, they're not even telling you the truth about what they're reporting. And even when they are, it's isolated things that have nothing to do with the way most people are in those demographics. But people that don't know that those are gross misrepresentations of the statistical norms for people in those demographics will think, wow, I never thought about that before. Thank you for cluing me in. Now I know where the problems in society really are, and we need to fix this, right? So these people that are caught up in that, they're not thinking, oh, let's go be destructive. Oh, let's go make the world worse. They're thinking, oh, let's go fix the world. Let's make it better, right? And that's the lure of it. That's the deception of it, because it's the same thing that Christian fundamentalism does. It weaponizes people. It tricks them into thinking that their hate counts as love, and that their methodology is going to result in a better world, even though it's been proven again and again to make a worse world. And because they don't know the history, they don't understand the context of what's happening here. And I've recognized right away, even before Doug recently got exposed for his racism, because he'd treated Jay a certain way before, and Jay was a little bit confused by it. I don't know why Doug's being this way to me. And I tried telling Jay in the softest way possible, there's just no way that Doug's not at least a little bit racist, because he's puppeting all the talking points from far-right media except cherry-picking out the religious-specific ones. Everything else, lockstep the whole way. And I'm like, that whole culture is so steeped in racism, but they're also in denial about their own racism, right? The same way that a lot of people back in the Civil War era were. They didn't think of themselves as racist. They literally believed that black people were just lesser people and lesser capable, and they were doing them a favor by maintaining slavery, right? They were job creators. And it's just, the Hebrews in the Bible were the same way about people, about foreigners. They felt like they're doing those foreigners a favor, these savages who don't have the real God. So, we're doing them a favor by owning them as property because they couldn't make it without us. right? And at least we're protecting, society from their bad influence of their fake gods or their evil gods or whatever. It's just these larger narratives being used to justify evil and make you think that it's a form of righteousness. And Doug was caught up in it. And I'm like, usually what I tell people that are ultra conservatives but deny being racist, I just grant it. Normally I'll just grant it. Say, okay, for the sake of argument, you're not a racist. But I noticed it wasn't a deal breaker. I noticed that here, saturated and surrounded and plugged into this blatantly racist culture, right, that exists in the pretense of being a political movement, that you don't mind all the racism, right? You don't even notice it. You don't talk about it. You don't care. It doesn't bother you. All you want to do is rant against the left, right? But with Doug, I couldn't even be that charitable, because it was clear, not just with the way that he was treating Jay, but how lockstep he was with all the far-right talking points, that he was just sitting on the same bullshit. He's just coming from that cultural paradigm. And I'm sorry to say it, but an advantage and a disadvantage on the left is that the left doesn't agree about a whole lot between themselves. And when it comes to like more detailed matters of how to fix society's problems, we should do this, or we should do that, they're very divided. And so that hurts them at the polls. It hurts them in politics because they're not united enough to have a good, strong presence to get things to go a certain way. But at the same time, it works against the right to be so united as they are. Because if you hear one or two things that somebody from the far right says, you'll already know the rest of what their views are. You already know. They haven't even told you yet, and you already know. That's not true of people on the left, but it is true of people on the right. So as awful as it is that they're so saturated in this echo chamber that tells them what to think, that helps them politically, because now they're all voting the same way, right? Or at least before the Trump divide, they were all voting the same way. And now they're trying to figure out how to heal that divide because they want to get back to all voting the same way. But the left has a long history of not agreeing on what to do. Even back in the Civil War era, they couldn't agree on how far to take the war, or if there needed to be a war, or, things like that. There's always been divisions on the left about how to fix the world's problems, and what's serious and what's not serious, and what do we do about it. But so if somebody says something that you often hear on the left, it doesn't really tell you with any good amount of with any justified confidence what the rest of their views are, right? Same thing with atheism and anything else. So like talking about like antinatalism, right? You wouldn't know if you talk to somebody who says left side political things if they're an antinatalist or not, right? Because it's a separate issue. You wouldn't know whether or not they want to be bothered with using special pronouns for people's sexuality, right? You only know that they probably just respect other people's pronouns or try to not be offensive, right? Even if they don't get it or relate or whatever. You don't know a whole lot about somebody who votes Democratic, for example, except that they know that the Republican Party is a serious problem that must be countered, right? You know very little else about someone's politics if they tell you they vote Democratic. So that's where I am about it. Like, Doug was completely predictable, and I knew that he hadn't yet outed himself for his racism, but I knew it was coming. And I knew one of these days he would come back from a Fox broadcast that would get him all upset about the great replacement theory or some other bullshit, and then he'd just start ranting. I knew that he would. And so when Jay started broadcasting about how he finally did it, I'm like, well, there it is. There's the other shoe that finally dropped.
So, again, I haven't seen any thing specific that you're referring to, James. Can you tell me how long ago did you see this coming?
As soon as I heard about PineCreek, I went over there, and within 20 minutes, I'm like, yep.
So this is some time ago. This is
So I only first heard about PineCreek maybe 14, 15 months ago. So
I think at the beginning of this year is the first time I heard about him. I know when I was in Milwaukee with nothing to do in the winter in that little apartment, so small. It's slightly bigger than my hotel room now.
Yeah. All right, we can look at the clips. Well, one, I need to take that little break. So thank you so much, James. Also, that was fantastically described. So really, thank you. Also, I want to acknowledge Carrie Ann's comments before we go on.
How do I see those? How do I see?
They're in the gather in the chat.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I clicked on the right thing. Finally.
Yeah. So here. So Carrie Ann says he did some experiments that showed his indifference to humans. So we might not show that clip. So basically, one of those was he basically did a thought experiment where people should have to demonstrate that they're sort of economically, psychologically, socially fit enough to reproduce, because that would avoid, so many problems and stuff like this. Then she said he disappointed me being a public figure. Also, yeah, I guess the LGBT one we might not touch on. So he also said well, if LGBT persons are, or trans people, maybe it was, are having higher suicide rates, okay, well, a lot of that's because he says, well, the other side's going to say a lot of that's because they're not accepted, but then we look at it and they still have elevated suicide rates, even when they are accepted. Well, then maybe if you really want to save their lives, what we should do is tell trans people that they're not trans. Or, basically, and it's just interesting. What?
I think I know what's going on.
All right, so hang on.
Okay.
So then, but anyway, so I just wanted to mention those as sort of backlog, I guess, because it'll come up. So she's saying he showed his indifference to humans, but only specific ones. He disappointed me being a public figure and cherry picking data to support his quote unquote experiment that feeds into the views of hate-filled people's narratives. And then the one we're going to talk about today is he found cities, took their murder numbers, and compared it to the majority vote of those cities to create the conclusion that murderers are colored Democrats.
Well, I saw that one short, that one that she's referring to there at the last.
Yeah.
So I saw that, and my reaction to it was, he's trying to get a bigger audience. So what he seems to be seeking after is all these people that have been loving and sponsoring Trump uncritically, because that is part of their battle cry, right? They heard some news host say it on some show, and they don't verify anything. They just start repeating it. And then what they don't do is they never say, well, wait a minute, is it possible that Republicans have the same problem? And it's just not included in this video. They don't say that. If you made it about white collar crime, might be a different list of cities. But if you looked at who those convicts were for white collar crime, like people running a company into the ground on purpose to steal money from it, people robbing their investors of millions, if not billions of dollars, Ponzi schemes, stuff like that. The lineup of prisoners, criminals, whatever, they have a completely different complexion on average. So I think if you and I, we went to the local police station and we asked, hey, can you show me your murderers who you've captured? Like, do you have pictures and stuff like that? You'd see probably a cross-section of the ethnicities in society with no one left out, Right. And it wouldn't be the idea that it's mostly black people or it's mostly white people or mostly Asian people, whatever. You're going to see a little bit of everybody in those books, because the fact is people of all ethnicities snap. And they'll go hurting everybody. If it was school shootings, right? Most school shooters are what?
reflective of the general population.
Anglo-Saxon or Caucasian.
Right.
If you look at most serial killers are either Anglo-Saxon or Caucasian. That's not a commentary on Anglo-Saxon and Caucasian people. It's not.
Right.
Every ethnicity has their wrongdoers. And some of those people take it not just too far, but they get kind of sincere. Look, Hitler is I'm bringing it up. So what's that thing? There's like a famous thing when you argue and somebody brings up Hitler. So, okay, we're a few minutes in and I've brought up Hitler. But look, he's one of the biggest mass murderers of all time. White guy. Stalin, white guy. I can go on and on and on naming them.
Right.
That's not how most people are. It's not. We can find even the average serial killer, right? The guy that's in your community that they haven't caught yet, or the one they did. That's still an outlier. That's not how most people are. It's just not. But I remember something Tom Likens used to say back in early 2000s. I love listening to that guy. He would generalize, and people would call him on it, and he would say, "I'm broadcasting. It's broad. What I'm speaking of is broad." He's not being so specific as to leave out things that don't make his point. He's making his point, and he's using general data, broad data, to do it. The specifics might raise the validity of his arguments, sure. Just like with Doug, the specifics could raise the validity of some of his arguments. But a rational thinker is going to ask, and believe me, I don't know how many of them are out there. A rational thinker would ask, well, what's the inverse of this data? Or how does my side look?
Right.
Because I was just watching a video about Trump supporters for the Young Turks. What don't they like about Donald Trump? The first person they interviewed, and I didn't see the whole thing. It's almost like she didn't have anything she didn't like about Trump, except for that he let the other side get away with too much. Well, give me some specifics. And if you want to really scare people, I think James alluded to this. If you want to get people to admit they don't know crap, ask for specifics.
Yeah, and it was sort of interesting. He pulled that move even on another guy where he was asking this guy for specifics. But yeah, I don't know. To me, he went too far. So let me show some of these clips. I guess I need to share.
And thanks AR for finding those clips, and Carrie Ann, thank you for your comments. Carrie Ann says Doug mentioned triggering emotional people on the left as a
good thing. Yeah. He kept saying it as it was a greater good type of thing. He always tries to spin this sort of as I'm doing everybody a favor with this type of rhetoric. All right, so I guess
think he's building his right-leaning audience.
Okay, as you all know, the president has long talked about our
trying to
nation
find more,
being at an inflection point.
More people to
he has
back
been clear
up their point
democracy
of view.
is under assault.
Or
and we
again,
pretend
I guess I could
otherwise.
look at it. They're feeding the need to be correct about their incorrect views. Right? It's solidarity. Here's someone who's an ally in the dumb shit I believe. So I'm going to hold on, and I'm going to tell other people about this person. Well, those people spend their money. And I think I've quoted what I heard Lyndon Johnson said. If you can convince the lowest white man that he's greater or he's better than the best black man, you don't have to ask him to turn out his pocket. He'll do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to ask the guy to support you. He's going to support you. The lowest, and I disagree with the terminology, but the lowest white man. So you find the poorest guy who's down in his dumps, working, probably trying his best, but he's not doing that well. If you tell him that he's better than this other guy who seems to have it easy and has a different complexion than him, he'll support you because why? It seems like you believe in him.
Right.
That's what he needs. I think everybody ought to be forced to take, not forced. I think everybody ought to be interested in taking a class about propaganda and how it works and why it works and why human beings, I guess, to make the world a worse place or a better place, why you need people to be weak-minded on average. I think people ought to invest some time taking a course. There's probably YouTube videos galore about how and why it works. But this is part of propaganda. This is, if I can borrow from Sarah McLachlan, building the lie that makes up for all that you lack.
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote that song, Arms of the Angels or whatever it's even called, but that's a line from there.
All right, I'm going to play this clip so we can continue the conversation.
Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was. Trump knows.
Whatever these click on,
you got to look on Myron Bot's screen, or Jay's screen rather. You should see Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
You see it?
I do.
Okay.
Legitimate president.
The president will continue to call attention to the threat to democratic integrity.
I hear you. I don't hear her.
You should hear it from Myron Bot.
Okay. It looks like the microphone and camera are off.
And to public safety posed by those who deny the documented truth about election result and those who seek to undermine public faith in our system of government.
Because I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win. So how do you fight against that in 2020?
You are absolutely right. He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate? Folks, look, I absolutely agree.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016.
They refuse to accept the results of free and fair elections, and they fan the flames of political violence through what they praise and what they refuse to condemn.
We stand up and we fight back. We do not back down. We do not compromise, not today, not tomorrow, not ever.
How can making a few statements incite a rebellion?
One component of inciting someone to violence or inciting someone to action is presenting them or creating a shared understanding of the world. There's an us versus them, and that means the only rightful conclusion is to take some action to get the election back, to get the country back.
But we are going to fight back. We are not turning this country over.
The rhetorical effect of using we with an audience is tremendous. Some can utilize that to generate us versus them distinctions and can motivate their audience to see the world as they are pitted against others who are not part of the we.
Now we can whimper, we can whine, or we can fight back. Me, I'm here to fight back.
Type of speech that's going to involve some kind of incitement.
Adrian, go! Let's do it!
It's also going to need that call to say, and now let's go do it. Now let's go engage in that behavior.
Can you pause it real quick?
Lie down. You can
pause it. Or if I can borrow from Uncle Bobby, stop the tape. Stop the tape. I saw him on Apologia. So what do you see going on here before we continue?
It's just Doug, just typical dog whistling to the right, and trying to. It's always to me pretty obvious, and we did mention this a little while on a bit on the show with Uncle Bobby, but I think part of the problem I have with this is so out of context, almost to deliberately miss the point of the difference between these situations. So to paint them as, it's almost like, and this is what I hate about, this is what I mean about weaponizing plausible deniability. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm just going to make this false equivalency video And then when people call me out, because obviously this is, to me, an uncritical depiction here, then he can hide behind, oh, well, I was just, it's just, and again, I'm just asking questions. I'm just trying to teach everybody a lesson. Welcome to Doug's School of Political Critical Thinking. But the problem is, number one, I mean, there's so many problems, but I don't, like he's overlooking the critical difference, but he's talking to the wrong side, and he's never talking to the right side. It's wait a second, we're not the side that's unaware of how you can, utilize, us versus them mentality and language to further enshrine, tribal hostilities. What you need to do is take that shit to the right. And that's what he's always failing to do.
Well, I'm trying to form my words carefully here, because I think what I've seen so far, and I know we just have a little bit left, what I've seen so far, if you put the title "Triggering My Friends on the Right" prior to Election Day, it's making the same point. So what I see here, he used a clip of Jimmy Carter saying he didn't win the election, so referring to Trump. Trump lost the popular vote. That is a fact. Trump lost the popular vote at least 2 times if you're being charitable. With all the recounts, he kept losing it again.
Right.
Okay, no need to rub it in. That's just those are the facts. So he puts that in here with Elizabeth Warren. Now, I have an issue with politicians saying they need to fight, because there's probably like 6 of them in Congress that could put up a fight and actually look good doing it, physically. But what we need is not fighters. We need the people with the very best ideas and people who are literally willing to move the society forwards. Not just, I'm really good at being angry at the other side, or really good at making.
Yeah, but I do think they need to fight, and I think for the most part, again, this is where I feel like
you had on that. I don't know if that's UFC or something like that. Those guys, I guess the Stupid Whore Energy has that on. Okay, so there's that, right? And they can go into a ring and beat the crap out of each other. So let's start electing those people and have them do it that way. You want that bill passed? It's a battle royale.
No, but that's what I mean. None of us mean it that way, and this is a problem, because why do they get to abuse language, and then we're now restricted in how we can speak of something because they're going to misuse that. Like, so to me, I don't have a problem, because there are these, because it saves us a lot of song and dance, right? Because if we got to go through the song and dance every time of there are these issues, and these issues are really important, and the people you've elected so far have not shown enough reserve when it comes to these issues, and I am going to work extra hard to promote these. Look, cool. I get it. Cool. That's very nice of you. But if you say option B is, I'm going to fight for your right to legally, decide whether or not you're pregnant, I'm cool with you calling yourself a fighter.
There's another thing at play here. So we see Elizabeth Warren doing a lot of the talking here. What she's describing, you then see videos of Trump supporters actually doing.
Right.
So I think GT Punk, I'm certainly not reading correctly what you've written here, because I'm wondering if you're not making this point. Well, the Republicans are doers and the Democrats are just talkers, right? We see Elizabeth Warren, she's just talking. Maybe I ought to try to meet with her. I'm in Massachusetts right now. So, and just what on earth do you mean? Like, what does that mean? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Because I would have voted for her had I had the opportunity to vote for her for president.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
So, but GT Punk says, according to Doug, all these Dems aren't doing anything wrong, right? It never got to January 6th for Dems. So I think in GT Punk, please correct me. I do not want to misrepresent what you're saying. Actually, maybe I should let you comment and then I just read your comment. Because I'm wondering if you aren't saying the Democrats never became so blatant.
Oh yeah, we touched on this before. And also, again, this is why I think this is stupid. I want to be very, very clear. Stupid. Like infuriatingly stupid. When people, in reference to Donald Trump, say he didn't win the election, he doesn't feel like a legitimate president, blase and the Glavinoids, everybody knows that we're referring to the fact that he didn't win the popular vote. And everybody knows, irrespective of that, he served as president, and nobody on the left treated his presidency like it was anything other than a legitimate presidency, other than the fact that they didn't like the fact that he was elected president in spite of the fact that he lost the popular vote. So it was a very legitimate critique of the system. Mm-hmm. So it is weaponized ignorance to sit there and even act like it's this, and it's this, that it's the same thing as when the right wing now is saying Biden stole the election and Trump is still the president and they're not accepting the results of the democratic process. And again, one side led to an insurrection, the other side took care of it as business as usual, and he's using this to critique the side that did it as business as usual rather than the side that did the insurrection. And that...
you know what I encourage you to do? Because I rarely edit things. Take this exact same video, don't change anything except for triggering my friends on the right prior to election day. So you may have to crop it. Just change that. Leave everything else there.
Okay. But that isn't the title. So it doesn't matter. Nope. Doesn't matter. Not to me. Doesn't matter. Like what I see is people.
Why do I see that? Why do I see that in the upper left-hand corner? Triggering my friends on the left prior to election day.
That's what I'm saying. That's the problem. So I'm tired of giving PineCreek. I'm tired of people making excuses for Doug. I'm just tired of it. I'm with James on this. I'm just tired of it. That's what this was about this week. I'm tired of people making excuses for Doug. And it's getting to the point where I have more questions for those people than I have for Doug. Why? We don't make these excuses for Tucker Carlson. We don't make these excuses for any right-wing apologist. He went past Bob Price, y'all. Matter of fact, so why are we not having the same response to Doug that we had to Bob Price? No. And Doug has gone further to say, I did it to trigger these people. I did it to upset these people. I did it to hurt these people's feelings. So he's going, I did this to hurt people. And we're going, let's not say something hurtful about Doug in our response to... No, F that. Doug is on some weaponized nonsense, and it's just ridiculous. And then I feel like I have to respond more severely because I feel like I'm not getting enough support in the severity of this man's behavior. Because again, everybody loves Doug, so we want to give Doug the triple, quadruple, ontuple benefit of doubt. No, I'm just going to the next clip.
Please play the rest of that because I haven't seen it.
Oh, there's only like 7 seconds.
Pull up in a ball, you can decide to move to Canada, or you can stand your ground and fight back.
Again, so that's equivalent. I guess that makes her damn near an insurrectionist for suggesting that. So here's the other one. Cool sound effects, Doug. Yeah, Cameron said everyone walks on eggshells with Doug for some reason. I'm kind of sick of it, to be honest with you. I think it's disgusting. I feel like people were a lot braver if they actually spoke to. So look, he just lifting off cities, and they all voted for Biden. And the man literally admitted that he did it because the midterms were coming up. So he just got out of bed and went, you know what would be great is if I could just make this video today, triggering my friends on the left right before, the day before midterms. And so then he did the day. So then, the red wave misses. So then the day after, Doug does a stream. I don't know. Did I get a link to? Let me see if I can. I'll pull up the stream Doug did because I've had 2 interactions with Doug since then. Mm-hmm. The first was on his channel, and I wasn't even gonna call because I'm kind of done with Doug. I just decided I'm done with Doug. I'm unsubscribing. This person is not adding anything to this community anymore. He hasn't been.
So wait, what you have here? This is not old. This is brand new. This is his website right now.
Yeah.
Can you scroll up a little?
Here, this is where I need to show you.
I think I'm asking you to do the wrong thing.
But yeah, no, you're right.
I want to see how many you did it. You've done it. I wanted to see how many views these videos have had. So, compared to a video of a YouTuber, I'd say a channel that's about the size of his. This is probably normal. What you don't see is 3 million views, 680,000 views, 200,000 views.
Sure. So
that's what you don't see.
Yeah.
So for something like this, I would think it would be way more popular given the amount of the Trump faithful that are out there that would agree 1,000%. Now, for porn usage, I don't even know why that's relevant. But let's see. I guess it could be relevant if you're making a point about the most religious states. Cult of Dusty has said this many times. Like those tend to be the ones with the highest usage of porn, the most religious. So I don't know what kind of porn they're watching, but I've not seen one with religious tones.
Right.
I'm probably missing out. But that's okay. I don't need to see that. So, but go ahead, Pocket Locker. Go ahead and make your point, please.
So yeah, I think he's just. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the points in the chat. Yeah, I just think he's way out there in Magaland. Oh, Cameron pulled up the link for us. Great. Sorry about that, Cameron. Let me pull it up. It's right here.
But
all right, so here, yeah. All right, so here's the one. That's the one, and then boom.
But
and thank you, GT Pong.
Wait,
did you know that 50% of?
Hang on. So that's the one, and then Arian. Oh, let's poke and all right, so here we go.
% of all the murders in the United States. You might be right, but did you know that 50% of all the murders in the United States are done by what demographic?
What demographic?
Yeah.
In like 18 to 25-year-olds, or what type of demographic?
Skin color.
Are you talking? Oh, minority.
Yeah. And we know also that minorities of that skin color vote 90% Democrat.
Which is apparently not true.
Yes, minorities vote Democrat.
So half of all murders are committed by African Americans, and 90% of African Americans.
That's where your inference is wrong.
I'm not making any inferences.
Can you pause it?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just wanted to play that because that was the part where we lost the guy. You're good.
No wonder Doug sleeps in another room. Black woman, and she might pop a cap in his ass one day.
Yeah, but seriously, that was sort of the clip, right? And that was the tipping point for me. A lot. First off, I think James is correct, which is Doug is playing out of the alt-right playbook, and the special flavor of all of that, their secret sauce, is racism, and everybody knows this. And I think, I just was done with him because I knew what all that was. And the fact that he couldn't just keep his mouth shut or stay in his lane, the fact that he picked, hey, let me do this and throw these charged issues out there going into the midterm, I just was like, okay, I'm just done with this dude, because at this point I'm just following and supporting, a right-wing person. And right. I was going to just leave it at that. But then when he did this, when he had this interaction with this guy, because a number of people basically tried to tell him, like, no, he's wrong about this. And he ignores the feedback, right? And then he tries to pin people down into these positions. And this particular guy even worked in the prison system, and he's trying to tell him, you're wrong. You're not thinking about the type of people that are actually in the prison system. So, a number of people came at him from different angles trying to correct him. And then finally, Doug just pushes it to where he really wants this to go, which is, tell me what skin color they are. So
I wasn't fond of that remark.
Yeah, but it's where all that goes. Right? It's where all of it goes. And I even said this, if he was on a more major broadcasting platform, like a Fox News or something like that, he would never even get to take it that far, right? Like, even there, they have to be savvy and restrictive enough to, like, not push it that far. So they're going to give you the same dog whistle talking point about the Democrat-run cities and how they've got the crime rate out of control, and the murder rates of the top 10 cities are perfect examples of the Biden agenda, and right? So that's fine, but they're not going to even jump to, and it's all those, or rarely, right? Because even they know that's a bridge too far. And now, what bothered me with Doug, when I'm done with him, right, was I'm now at that same point with him, and I'm taking you back in time before this conversation, right? So before this conversation, I'm kind of like done, because I'm listening to him, and I'm realizing as I'm watching this earlier part of the stream leading up to this, okay, I just can't do this anymore with Doug, right? But my point is, at that point, he's still Fox News to me, where he's doing the silent dog whistle thing. Now with this conversation with this guy, oh my goodness, now he's just going to go mask off, let's talk about skin color. And so I jump on essentially to tell him, like, dude, like, I'm disappointed. Like, this is just too much. So I want to show you that conversation.
Hold on 1 second, because I do want to see it.
Yeah, you're good.
I got to take a quick pause. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah.
And if there's a little more of this you want to show me, I'm happy to see it.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. And again, thanks to...
Yeah, can you hear? If you can hear, I'll just play it.
No, because I'm in a hotel room. I want to be respectful to my neighbors. Hold on.
All right. So, I'll just hold off on this. Let me I appreciate the comments in the chat. That's what I really hate too, like the cowardice of the sort of hiding behind these thought experiments and, oh, I'm just stating the facts, and why can't we talk about the facts? Why is it not okay to quote unquote say certain things? And it's just the lowest kind of, like, ew. It's really off-putting to me, especially when there are such obvious examples where that's actually the conversation that people need to have. It's not that it's okay. It's not okay to say to the left that the vaccine can kill you. We're cool with that. We just know you take the vaccine anyway because COVID's way more likely to. The issue is, why can't you tell people on the right the truth, which is that they need to get vaccinated? You go try that and see what the response is, and then you come tell me who needs to be called out for they can't handle the facts, right? That's the part that it's like, bro, you so tough. Go tell it to the other side. Because according to even Doug, right, we're the soft lefties, and we're all soft and sensitive, and, you know, we're all warm and, you know, understanding and all of this caught up in our feels. And that's pretty much what he gets, right? He gets a soft landing for all of this stuff. But go apply the same, hey, I just want to trigger you guys to all your right-wing friends and see how well they take it. And then give me an assessment of who needs this poking and prodding more. This is because it's just all right. My one black friend is back, so I guess I want to show you. I guess you could look at another minute of this.
Democratic areas, the murderers themselves are not the oversensitive type of people. Like most.
Well, you're saying they're Republicans from Democratic cities.
Well, areas, yeah. You look into the prisons.
So if you commit murder, you're a Republican, and if you don't, you're a Democrat.
No, you're a hard ass.
I know.
And
Doug, listen to yourself. You're saying
Doug is literally
hard asses tend to murder.
He's trying to make the opposite point. If you commit murders, you're a Democrat, not a Republican.
Yes. It's literally like he goes into this apologist mode where he's trying to be the last person standing, trying to just win the debate, score points in the argument, and in effect, literally throwing people under the bus. And it's just grossly insensitive.
GT Punk has asked Jay, replay the clip for Derek, if you don't mind. I don't know, GT Punk, can you be more specific about which clip? And forgive me if you've already done it, because again, I had to step away for a moment.
Yeah, so I think they're referring, number one, I was just playing you this clip, but then also we're going to play 2 clips of when I talked to him on this show, and then also the nitty thing. But yeah, this gentleman did make good points. And we basically were saying, Doug, it's first off, it's mostly Republican states. If you want to play this game, sure, it's blue cities, but it's also red states, so why don't we not even go there, right? And then he's saying, you also got to remember, just because you're talking about the way that the county voted, right? Here's another thing where Doug gets slippery on us, guys, right? When you really talk about these things, let's look at this murder rates video. Notice what he does here. Right? If you notice, he's actually showing you the counties, right? So he's not even the state. He's not even showing you the city. He's not showing you the state. A lot of these are red states, right? Tennessee, right? But he's also trying to show you, oh, it's Memphis a problem. But then when he shows you, he's not showing you how Memphis voted. He's showing you how Shelby County voted. Now, nobody even brought this up to him. But I'm just saying, it's another, hold up, bro, Ham. This is so easy. And you didn't even do this level of, like, you're so desperate for this misrepresentation that you're like, oh, let's just grab their counties. Like, this is sloppy, right? You get Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
No, that's calculated. That's not sloppy. That's being calculated.
Right? Then you get Fulton County, right? And Jefferson County, Marion County, Clark County, Hennepin County. Right. And so I'm just saying, to the same point of this gentleman, of this all just depends on what level you want to look at it. Right. Doug is arbitrarily choosing county. Why not choose the city themselves? Why not choose the state?
I've been to, I think, probably most of the counties in that video. And they all seem like really wonderful places to me.
I also wanted to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. That's basically it.
I was just going to say, I wanted to shout out Derek, because Derek actually came through. Guys, our very first episode of Hot Program was about the Robert Price thing, because it just so happened to be the timing. But we were both big Derek supporters then, now, and always. And thanks for mentioning that. Like, I feel kind of honored that Derek came through and said, yeah, it's unfortunate because I've been through that with Robert Price. But yeah, Derek, we still feel for you in that situation, bro. And actually happy to hear, things are on the mend, because we're always rooting for people, the friendships of our friends, right? But yeah, this was a great sense of disappointment, not just for me, but almost on behalf of my community. And I feel like that's where Doug really let me down on this, was that even after I interacted with him, we continued to see him sort of undress me and make it about why I'm not right and, you know, my emotional response is too emotional or whatever, not realizing, Doug, I'm trying to get through to you that you've stepped out. And he didn't realize I'm not speaking for myself. If it's reached the level of I got to call you, look you square in the face on your show and tell you I'm disappointed, you know, at least had the decency to realize I'm probably speaking up on behalf of a number of people. And again, it's totally insensitive because we're in a community dominated by white boys. There's not a lot of people of color in the community to begin with. And even Cameron Bennett noted that after I called Doug, and let's go to that. After I called him and talked to him, it's like he went, he went straight to ridiculing me because he played the music, I guess, or whatever. And then even Cameron Bennett noticed, well, now everybody's making fun of me in the chat. So it's like the white boys now are laughing at us. It's like I call him out for his racism, and the few of us that are people of color in this community, now we feel like, and all the white people laughed at that. Cool, great. That's not awkward.
It's not. See, but in a way, Pocket Locker, you may be putting yourself at risk for being racist by saying the white boy this, the white people that.
Well, no, I'm just saying what's the feeling you get?
You will have allies that are outraged of every color. I mean, it's maybe Deepak.
Sure. I mean, honestly, sees, honestly, I wanted to say that earlier, which you make a really good point. I'm trying to speak about certain people because you feel like that's the demographic. So you're in the room right now. I get that, right? It's been the same thing my whole life, right? So if I say, oh, the white boys made fun of me coming up in school or whatever, I don't mean all of them. And of course, there was always the people who were as outraged and often more outraged, quite frankly, than I was, because at some point I just had to learn to live with it, right? I can't shut it off. So I'm not going to rage about it every single time it comes up. But there was a particular personal sense of disappointment. But I guess I should have said the same demographic concerns that you're trying to speak through also are the context of the response to you finally speaking up. So when he ridicules me, instead of, I don't know, whatever other response he could have taken, and then his chat takes the same tone, it reinforces the type of alienation that made it unlikely for people bothered by that to speak up in the first place.
Well, I'll caution anybody who takes this tack that I see Doug taking in these videos that you played so far. If you run the risk of creating the very thing you hate by making the world a more hateful place, more fearful, the attitude that other side is dangerous. This literally is how we got where we are. The reason it's not worse is because enough people have said, I want to make the world a better place. And that line is a long line of people working together with other people in the same long line. So that's why we're lucky. But again, people promoting the wrong message of negativity and fear. Why that works? Again, you got those people forever. You can take their money from them. They'll tune in. They'll watch because humans love to hear about suffering. Why? Because it makes the suffering they personally have not seem so bad. I was in a laundromat before I came back to do the show, and I had like 10 minutes left on one dryer and 15 on another, because this laundromat was not about ripping you off. So the machines work really quickly. And I said to this woman who I saw loading her clothes into the dryers next to mine, I said, ma'am, I have 10 minutes left on this and my clothes are out of it. You can use this one. And this is, I'm about to take my jeans out of that, which has 15 minutes left. So she wasted no time in loading her clothes into my dryers, and she was so grateful. Whatever, I saved her $1.50, but
Right.
you wouldn't know that by her gratitude level of doing a little thing like that. It seemed that it was very valuable to her that I cared. It wasn't about the money.
Right.
It was that I saw someone with the same needs as me, right? She needs to wash her clothes at a laundromat. So she's grateful. I think what Doug can strip away with his, and not just Doug, Fox News, other like-minded venues, what they can strip away is that goodness that's here. And if you pump up the negativity, people will come back. They did studies. If you show people only good news in a broadcast, they won't tune in. Because people get obsessed with what they need to worry about. There's a career field for this, psychology. Come right on in and sit down, and like that song, come on in and sit on down and tell me about yourself. So I think there are people, again, you got to study propaganda. There are people who know this, but that's how they get you. That's how Doug can grow his audience. And a person can have an audience of millions that they philosophically disagree with most of their audience, but the money's good. And you can quit when you want to, because YouTube will make you a millionaire. And people will give you $40,000 to come and speak at something. And you can say a bunch of things that are objectionable to you, but you know will win over that audience, because why? It reinforces their fear and provides them with a false solution.
Right.
That they think is good enough. A solution, mind you, most of this stuff is you don't have to do anything. Let us do it. That's Trump, right?
Right.
That's Trump. That's
right.
If you want to know why that man is successful.
Just like Christianity, you don't have to do anything. You just believe. Just believe in the cause.
God is a spirit and should be worshipped in spirit
and in truth. Here it is.
In truth. Well, how do you manage the spirit part? Well, that just means like in prayer. That just means in prayer and meditation. Right. You know, that's how you want to petition God. You want to worship God. How do you do so? You do so in prayer.
Yep.
That's all that means. That's all that means. So I think, again, why religion and Trump are powerful. You present people with a solution that you never have to implement. You leave it up to other people. But it's true. I know it sounds so simple when I say that. I know it does. And it may even sound false to people who don't immediately get it, like when I say it. If you are watching this and you don't believe what I said, pay attention the next time you agree with someone who knows how to resolve an issue. Pay attention. It's not like the plumber that comes to your house and legitimately gets rid of the clog. It's someday, if we work together, we could achieve this. You never have to implement that solution. You never do. You're giving those people. I'm going to mention my Latin teacher, hi Magistra, who told us the story of Pandora's box. We actually had to translate this in one of our Latin books. And the last thing that was let out of the box, because Pandora slams the box shut, right? Out went like disease and war and all these other things, right? The last thing in the box was hope. And she hesitated to let it out. And of all the things, my teacher said it, of all the things in the box, hope was the most dangerous one. Again, why it's dangerous. I don't even have to ever implement the solution that I said should work. Trump will have a healthcare plan in 2 weeks. There's entire videos. You can watch them minute after minute after minute of him saying that. You don't have to do it. And if you ask a Trump supporter, what is that? What solution did you finally come up with?
Right.
They'll start talking. But they actually can't make a point unless they say, he never did come up with a replacement for Obamacare, or he did and they stopped him. Well, what were some of those details? And I think the key to all of us having a conversation with, say, a person of a religion, Doug, I think he's too smart for this, but I think he just wants to be entertained, quite honestly. He likes seeing other people frustrated, which I have seen, and to some degree that can be entertaining until you feel sorry for that person. Then it's not entertaining anymore. It's like, okay, dude, just do something else. Do something else. I forgot where I was going with that, but I think that's
Punk said he wants to harm others for his entertainment. So let me I guess I'll play some more. All right. So you can see my screen. Here's my conversation with him. Prod at the left, but you're overlooking the fact that poking and prodding at people like that. Right. Hang on. All right, here we go. Oh goodness, I gotta click on the. Let me here. I'll find it. It's right here. I thought I could go back to that clip. When you do that, it doesn't go back to the beginning. It doesn't go back to the timestamp. It like goes back to the beginning of the stream.
What are the factors that cause people to murder? What percentage of those factors relate to political belief? That's a good question.
That is a good question. I would assume it almost never relates to political beliefs unless you're talking about a war.
Room's open.
Yeah, unless it's a politically motivated crime.
You got to escalate.
Hey.
What's up, Doug?
Not too much.
Man, look, I just got to be honest with you, man. I think you jumped the shark, man. I think you went way Joe Rogan on us.
Is Joe Rogan bad?
Yeah, bad.
Okay.
I think you're just in this place where now you like to troll the left. You like to poke at us. You want to hurt our feelings, and cool. You've done so, Doug. You've actually hurt my feelings, and I'm just identifying myself as probably one of, a substantial number of people who just have problems with what you say, but like, I don't know. I think enough of you to say, like, you inspire me a lot in this counter-apologetics thing. You really helped a lot of us, see through Christianity. But now it's like watching you is like difficult. Like I can't even watch, like, because I'm just watching somebody who enjoys saying things that hurt people like me at a time we can't afford.
May I ask what I said that hurt you?
Doug, it's everything. Let's tell trans people they're not trans. Let's do a thought experiment. What if you had to go? I didn't talk
about trans today, but
not today. Let's go through let's have a thought experiment of, if you had to pass a government test to have reproduction. Let's talk about how most Democrats. Yeah, but this is the trend, Doug.
Is there anything I said today that you?
Yeah, this whole thing. You want just come out and say it. Most murders are committed in Democratic cities by who? Black people, right? Because that's where you're going before.
I said that. Yeah, 50,
not most.
It's 50%.
What's the point of talking about that right now?
It's 50%.
Why? Why do you want to talk about that in the middle of a midterm when with all the issues that are going on in this country? Why do you pick now to
midterms are over?
Look, I just I don't get you, Doug. And all I wanted to say is you hurt me. I'm not here to debate you. I'm not here to you cool. It's your show. I'm sure you have your facts straight. I'm sure you feel.
Are you saying that some truth shouldn't be spoken?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying some truths are shallow. I think if you're going to really bring up these things and be such a critical thinker, then do some critical thinking. I think what you're doing is you're picking easy stances that are contrarian. Let's poke and prod at the left, but you're overlooking the fact that poking and prodding at people like that right now is what is being weaponized in our society. And it's just dangerous, Doug, and I'm disappointed in you. I'm not here to debate you. I'm here to tell you to your face that I'm disappointed in. You don't have to accept it or believe it or buy it or care, but I wanted to tell you to your face.
Okay. Your last word?
Pause it. Stop the tape.
Stop the tape.
That's Uncle Bobby's thing. I didn't come up with it. That's his. I'm only repeating it. So I want to just I want to applaud you. That's a good thing to confront him on. I don't think it was very fair of him to say, I didn't say that today.
Of course.
if life were only about today, that'd be pretty impressive. But it's not. By the way, is my video laggy? It seems like it's laggy.
I'm not sure. Talk.
Okay, as I see myself, I'm laggy.
Yeah, it's like not 60 frame. I don't know. We'll check it out. But yeah, you look good. You look actually sharp, so it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that was a good thing to challenge him on his points of views. And in a way, by saying I didn't say that today, it's almost dodging it.
Of course.
Actually, it is dodging it. And I don't think that was very fair of him, but it's a great way to save face. And again, people with exceedingly short memories, which is most people, including me, they might go, yeah. But someone who's trying to be even-handed and fair, people like me, including me, have to say, wait a second, maybe that's indicative of a problem. Maybe that's part of something I don't like. And again, it's a lack of objectivity. Yeah, if you can say for a fact 50% of murders in the United States are committed by Black people, let's go to Sweden. Let's go to Norway. Let's go to Denmark. How about in Germany? How about in Russia? How about in Canada? What's the percentage? How do they change? What about in Mexico? How about Australia? So what we see is a lack of objectivity. Why? Because it doesn't help improve his point.
Yeah, and then also, go ahead.
I want to say you had him on the ropes a little because hindsight's 2020. Let me just stop there. Hindsight is 2020. What would you have said or done differently in that moment?
I mean, to be honest, I wanted to. It's a great question. I actually wanted to take more the stance of a friend. Like, Doug, you claimed that some of it, because I don't consider Doug a friend anymore. And I don't think he ever really considered me a friend. I think he's one of these people who thinks it's useful to have Black people in his life. If nothing else than to serve as a shield from, these type of accusations. But I was trying to come at it like, if you really do consider myself or other people of color friends, then it's those friends who need to speak to the fact that this is not the way to go. My analogy is if you go in,
friendship.
Yeah, my thing is if you go into the kitchen and you touch this stove, you're gonna get burned. Then you should. Why? Because you don't touch that stove. That's a hot online stove right now. You just don't touch it. And I was trying to do that, and I think I was immediately sort of realizing this isn't who Doug is, and I don't have that relationship with him. And for him, I think this is more, again, maybe I was just upset by, like you said, you're going to ask me when you hurt me. I'm going to go mention a couple things. You're going to say, oh, well, did I say that today? And it's just, you immediately realize, and then I felt like, the sort of righteous, I don't say righteous indignation, but sort of like, no, I'm really upset with this guy, and he just needs to know that this isn't okay. But yeah, I think my original intent was to be more of I think you're hurting people you care about when you do things like this. But I think part of the problem is I realized pretty quickly I'm not someone that cares about. Mm-hmm. And after the call, like, he talked about me pretty badly. Yeah, basically just saying I'll never be effective or able to make a difference or communicate effectively if I'm just going to get that upset and be that emotional, which one is, again, I hate when people do that because it totally overlooks the fact that their behavior is the reason people are upset. And number two, it's just not true. Not even of that. Like, pretty much there was a lot of discussion around that, and then a lot of the comments, not just then but after, were about the fact that people thought I got through pretty loud and clear. So I just don't even think it's true. But go ahead.
We are discussing the behavior of a man who frequently says during one of his broadcasts that he's dead inside.
Oh, PineCreek's here. You can call it. You can.
But hold on.
Go ahead.
Maybe that's not a joke. Maybe it's something he repeats because he's heard it from someone he loves. Maybe it hurts him to say that because maybe it's true. And if it is true, the best way to feel alive is to feel joy. The second best way is pain. And maybe he can't bear the weight of his own pain. So what's the next best thing to do to that? So 1, feel your own joy. 2, pain. Then there's make someone else happy. And then
this doesn't make somebody else miserable.
It is. And then it's make someone else hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what? Misery loves company. They have joined you in your dissatisfaction. Why not choose one of the higher ways of conducting yourself? Why not?
So so Doug said, we all on the spectrum of emotion. I lean far one direction, but no pain in my life. And again, I just think he's always missing the point because it's always about Doug. And instead of Doug realizing, honestly, I don't care about Doug. Same way, because I recognize that Doug doesn't give a shit about anybody. And he definitely doesn't give a shit about me. So cool, 2 can play that game. Here's the difference. This isn't about our feelings about each other. Doug lives in this world where it's all about Doug. If Doug isn't convinced, then it's not worthwhile. If Doug doesn't think you're logical, then you're not logical. If Doug thinks you're too emotional, then you're too emotional. Instead of Doug, nobody cares what Doug thinks. There are certain things that are what they are.
Yeah.
When you play out of the racist playbook, it is what it is. Every time you get to go into every time you get to quarterback the play, you go into the huddle. You can draw up any play in the frickin' world. Play about apologetics, play about politics, talk about poker, talk about your family, friends, your other hobbies, whatever you want to talk about. You woke up today and went to, I want to really make this great point about how if we want to help trans people, we should tell them we're not trans. I got to make this great point today about how wouldn't it solve a lot of these problems with the social systems if like only people who just qualify, just kind of had it all together, if they were the only people allowed to have families, wouldn't that just solve a lot of problems? Hey guys, I got a great idea. What if we could just talk? Let's just talk about how I'm just saying. If you look at all the murderers, they just so happen to be committed by brown people in Democratic counties. Okay, bro, if that's your playbook, cool, that's who you are. That's your go-to play. Like, I run the let's protect marginalized populations play, right? And you run the let's poke at the bear for funsies play. And nobody cares what you think. All we care about is the effect that your play has on the field of play and stopping it. That's how this game goes. If that's what you want to do, that's the play you want to run, cool. We're going to play defense to that play. And if you don't care, we don't care either. But this whole business about we're too emotional, quite frankly, go fuck yourself. Because emotion is what it means to be a human. And it's a little bit ironic that people in these positions of privilege, because let's call it what it is. The cologne that Doug sprays on every morning is that of white privilege. Oh man, Whew, I got that. I'm feeling good today. I got that. I don't have to care about nobody because I'm financially and emotionally secure, and I don't give a crap about nothing. Woo, I got that privilege, and I'm privilege down.
I would argue that if Doug were some other ethnicity, he'd be the same.
Maybe. But the difference is the impact wouldn't be the same. He might have the same personality.
That's interesting.
He might. Right? Because I'm not. Everybody can spray on the privilege, but only so many people can afford. Right? It's about how much of it can you afford to put on, and again, what effect does it have on others? So for me, it was just like somebody tried to put it on Nitty's show quite well, which is
Nitty.
Yeah, Nidamos. He's one of our mods and friends. Yeah, Nidamos.
Okay.
So Doug went on there. I was going to show you that clip.
Please do. Please do.
All right, matter of fact, let me show you that clip just because I got to pee again. I got that caffeine going.
You can start the clip if you're familiar with it.
That's what we're going to do.
That's when you take your lead.
That's what we're going to do. You already know the game plan. You already know what the production crew is finna do. But Doug, let me know if you want to call in.
It's water, Cameron. It isn't always water, but it is this time.
All right, so now y'all got me combing through Nitty's stream. Nitty said the last 40 minutes were the worst of his life, so let's see, that should be...
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What is 1350 beyond, GT Punk? What does that mean?
It's like a racist dog whistle thing that apparently Doug was referencing or started referencing. All right, there is a part where I called it. I guess I wasn't dressed when I called. So that's the thing. So up here. Yeah. There we go.
Hey, Jay. There's the band. You still upset with me, Jay?
Yeah, honestly, I probably really don't even think I'll ever want to talk to you again. But I just don't understand why, like, we're even having this talk. I find this all incredibly disrespectful that we're going to sit here and play your little game about why you said what you said and how it was for the greater good. And, Doug, it was a cheap shot.
Why was it a cheap shot?
Because why did you pick that time? Why did your voice need to add that statistic to the conversation going into a midterm where we're talking about black people's votes being alienated and voter intimidation? I had just made a stream about experiencing voter intimidation.
So you're saying that I should have made that video because
it
hurts...
You made it to hurt people. You said it. You've said it over and over again. You made it to troll people. You made it to trigger people. My question is, like, why are we even giving this the time of day? Like, you're clearly just a right-wing troll, Doug. Like, you do the same thing with let's tell trans people they're not trans. Let's have to pass a test.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Determine if you can No, I don't want to talk about any of this. Why are we talking about this? None of this is entertaining. This is just weaponized.
Well, I don't want to talk about it.
Fox News.
One second.
Wait, Jay.
Doug, are you libertarian?
No, I don't know what I am. I'm being honest.
So you're not claiming anything. You're just doing the bullshit thing, and I'm not anything.
No, I'm a.
So you're something.
Aaron, I'm a Canadian citizen. I cannot vote. I do not vote in the United States, but I live in the United States, so I cannot vote.
Still, you lean right.
But I lean right. Yeah, I lean right.
Not everything, but many things.
Doug, how about be part of the solution? How about talk about, hey guys, the election's tomorrow. Let's make sure we get out there and protect people's rights. Like why not talk about something helpful? You were hurtful deliberately.
Can you pause it?
You get up here. Hey, everybody on the panel, admit right now that the back.
Can you pause it? Okay. So as I watch this, I'm reminded of something of like the Russian troll farms that worked very hard to influence the vote here in the United States. So Doug is sharing he can't vote. So regardless of what his privileges as an American citizen would be. He doesn't have access to voting here. But like the Russian troll farms, you can still influence the public to vote a particular way or to adopt a particular mindset. So he says he hates marketing, maybe because he has to do it, because that's marketing. I'm gonna influence the culture, I'm gonna create the culture that benefits sales, right? That'll generate the most money for whatever company I work for or whatever cause I'm interested in. I'm going to generate awareness for that and convert people over to that way of thinking. Because when you got them forever. So I think that's part of what's going on. He's trying to create the environment he'd like to see because he can't participate in it the way he would like to. But just like people like all these broadcasters, I'll say Tucker Carlson, for instance, if he ran for office, he would be virtually completely ineffective. Why? Because he doesn't have any ideas. He's told what to say. He has that way of delivering it that is interesting, but, that's not a guy you'd want to read an audiobook to you. Because what Tucker Carlson should discover one day, a sentence contains words, but it's not strictly a list of words and should not be read like it was a list of words unless the sentence is a list of words. So I think that might be what's at play. Now, I could be wrong, and there could be many things at play, but in this, just what I see here, that's what comes to mind. Your thoughts, and then please continue.
So Doug wants to always play the game that just proves his low emotional intelligence, where he just wants to make this always about people shouldn't have their reactions to him because he's just stating the facts. And as long as he's just stating the facts, then nobody's disagreeing with what he's actually saying. Therefore, his tactics are okay. Because, hey, he's just stating the facts. And if there's a problem with the facts that he's stating, then, we should, I guess it's up to us to do something about those facts. Rather than, right, which is again, he knows what he's doing. See, Doug is just smart enough that, I don't think I'm not gonna believe he's that stupid, right? That's all I could say. I'm not gonna sit here and praise him like I think he's some kind of brilliant person. Matter of fact, I thought Tux was sniffing his farts a bit because Tux told him that the video he made with the political speech juxtaposition was brilliant, and I think it was dog shit. But I'll consider that a difference of opinion between friends. But I certainly don't buy the fact that Doug doesn't get what's wrong with his behavior. He knows what's wrong with his behavior. And he's made it very, very clear repeatedly that the very thing we find objectionable about his behavior is his motivation for doing it. So my point here was actually to call out the panel. I was kind of sick of the Doug fart sniffing, and trying to figure out, why does Doug keep getting these passes and these let's circle around and let's hold Doug tightly and speak softly to him and whisper nice things to him until he sees the error of his ways. No, he's Tucker Carlson, like you said. He's just trying to build his right-wing audience. He's an atheist. Okay, cool. He's got some useful thought experiments when it comes to, religion or whatever. Cool beans. He's done some good shows. Most of us think he's an entertaining guy. Okay, but walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It should be selling Affleck or the StreamYard.
His household is 75% black, so his chances of dying in his own home are through the roof, I'd say.
Yeah, but his house ain't black. His wife ain't, he don't do that. His wife is dark skinned. I don't think he identifies her as black when it's useful. Her blackness is
ask a neighbor. He should ask one of his neighbors.
Yep.
Doug, are your kids black?
I would too.
Yeah. Are my kids black? Both of them. Yeah. How about my wife? Oh, yeah. Your wife especially.
Yeah. Yeah,
I got to see his wife on one of his streams, and
Doug, you said this like he's got a quote. Doug, you've pretty much told us that she doesn't identify as African American because she's actually from another country, right? She's not American. There you go, boom. So don't sit here and act like
she's still black.
I consider, but I'm just saying she doesn't identify with black people. When we say black, we mean African. I don't want to have this semantic stance. You see what I'm saying? But I'm just trying to say, because I think he's trying to pin me in a corner. And everybody knows what I'm saying. Right? And this is what I mean about No, but hang on a second. Sure. Hang on a second. I think I even want to take you off the screen real quick because because I just don't want you to get the heat when I don't want to deal with him. Let me just do this. I got a better idea. Hang on. You stay here where you're on the screen, and then I just change cameras.
You can put whatever video you want on the screen. I think that's more important for people.
Doug, seriously, go fuck yourself. This is what I mean about your dumbass fucking semantic games. You're the one who gets on your fucking channel and talks about how your fucking wife doesn't really identify as black and African American because she's from another country. You've talked about basically how both of you look down on fucking African American culture and shit. So don't sit here and act like I'm putting words in your mouth or saying something that's anything other than a perfectly accurate representation of shit you said on your own goddamn channel. So if you want to play the semantic game, then let's play the semantic game. Yeah, you married a dark-skinned woman, but she doesn't identify as African American. And you made it very clear. Now stop bullshitting. Go somewhere else. Go watch somebody you like. We started this show, the first fucking 5 episodes, all we did was talk about how this show was basically PineCreek fan fiction. And where were you? Nowhere to be found. I came on your show time after time after time, and you fucking chastised me for mentioning my channel. You came up with this fucking flying man thought experiment. We, as a supportive community of PineCreek fans, rally around it. It was my idea to start the cult to the flying man. And I could have picked anything, Doug. The flying spaghetti monster, Satanism, Raelians, the cult of the Jewish space laser, or the cult of J. Bundy even. I did none of that to honor the fact that doing something based on PineCreek's show would represent our community and the fact that we all rallied around as your fans. But you don't give a fuck when you say shit that's hurtful to us. And we've been out here month after month. I stream every fucking day. Normally 5 to 10 hours a day. And you have never been here once. Until we were talking about your favorite subject, the only thing you care about, you. I'll play the clip. Vaccine can kill you. Admit right now that the vaccine can kill you. That's the other shit he did. Literally had a panel and said, "Oh, why is it so unsafe to say bad things about the vaccine?" And then he forced everyone on his panel at the time to admit that the vaccine can kill you. Again, why now, Doug? In poor taste? No. This is your taste. Doug, you're pathetic. Like, you've literally jumped the shark. Like, I honestly don't even understand why I don't care. I don't want to hear your crap about, oh, Jay, you're emotional. Yeah, people are emotional, Doug. This isn't a game. I was a community organizer. I've been in the streets with working on political campaigns, going door to door. Like, this is people's life work. And it's not a game to people. The issues that these are issues that materially affect oppressed people every day. And you're not one of them. So you need to get with the program. You touched the stove, and you should have got burnt for it. Because you just got to understand, nobody cares anymore. Like the time for the ignorant, I'm just asking questions. Let's play a hypothetical thought experiment where I poke at each and every single social issue of marginalized people. It's ridiculous, Doug. And the fact that people come to you when they're coming out of Christianity, they're coming out of this toxic cult religion, and they're looking for like a supportive skeptic community. And you got people in the chat. It isn't just me. I'm speaking up for a lot of people. You're ignoring Cameron Bennett's outrage and YouTube. People have been supporting you for years, and you've disgusted every single one of them. And that look, you don't care. That's the problem. This is all a game to you, Doug. And it's not cool. It's not okay. And yeah, people have a right to be absolutely fucking livid about it. Disgusted, Doug. Absolutely disgusted.
I suggest you exercise more or something.
Suggest you get a fucking grow up, Doug. Honestly, I'm out of here, man. Have fun with this coward. Doug, no, your problem is your lack of emotions prevents you from being seen as a relatable human being. My emotions are nothing other than a perfectly reasonable response to your dismiss of people's feelings and emotions. And again, you're wrong, because most people can hear the message loud and clear. And me and Uncle Bobby were just talking about you, so it's so great to catch you in the act red-handed. Uncle Bobby says, if I talk about fuck this insurrectionist pig, and let's talk about these fuck faces who are, raping and blah, 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 whatever it is. And then people come in his chat and they go, well, Uncle Bobby, I think you curse too much. So wait, in this whole message about this unacceptable thing, all you heard was a couple of bad words. And so this is PineCreek's thing over and over again. This is why he's a troll. Mm. Instead of hearing the message that everybody hears, Doug goes, nobody can hear the message because you're too emotional. Boom. One, you're wrong. Like always, you're wrong. Again, Doug just always has the privilege to just whatever he asserts as the reality is reality, even when, Doug, again, look at the panel in front of you. The only person on the panel who didn't think I was effective in my communication was you. Look at the live chat. Look at the comments of this video. Look at the comments of your video. Look at the comments of Nitty videos. Look at the live chat from Nitty's video. Everybody thought I communicated perfectly well. You're ignoring the clear and obvious evidence that you're wrong. And on top of that, you're revealing what a fucking lowlife you are, because you're being called out for very seriously problematic behavior by a black man. And instead of coming correct, realizing you got some shit to work on, all you're doing is saying, hey, you might want to watch your tone if you want people like me to listen to you, which is, again, the play of the uber privileged white boy. Now, I'm not gonna say you said it because of that. It just so happens to be your play every single fucking time. Okay. Yeah, Doug, that's the visuals, Doug. That's what everybody fucking sees.
So, all right.
See, this is what part of the reason I made a video like that, because this
no
is
different
what Jay
than a
just
Christian
did.
Apologist.
As if you want to make change in society,
there you go.
That's not how you behave.
No, Doug. If you want to make change in society, here's what you do. You do what I did. You become a community organizer, and then you work in people's lives to make material changes and make the world a better place. So most people know, but Doug, again, I've got all sorts of life history in making a difference in the world and people's lives. As a matter of fact, I currently do so because I'm a goddamn researcher and a goddamn faculty member. So go fuck yourself. Part of what I also did is I'm very trained in race relations. So as part of the Race Relations Project, I studied under sociologists. My dog is named after Sam Richards, part of the Race Relations Project. So I did have conversations about people's racial insensitivities and the ways they use political talk to weaponize shit. I just used to do this, Doug. It used to be my job, was to facilitate conversations about subjects just like this, and I was very good at it. You can go ask the other fucking professionals that I worked with. Again, you're wrong, because you don't know me. You think based on the limited shit you've seen on my channel that you can fucking undress me and analyze who I'm about and what my problems are. When again, Doug, you just are out of your fucking league at the end of the day, to be quite honest with you. You're very unimpressive to me.
Well, yeah, actually it is.
You think so?
It's one of the ways.
Absolutely.
Do you think
so.
people can reason?
And then also, Doug, you accuse me. Doug, you
Wow. Hold on, I'm gonna write this down. I wanna go back and see this. I don't want to spend too much time on the show.
You're good.
Freaking Friday.
But Doug, you literally said to me that I made it racial. No, you made it racial. Because the call before me, you pushed it to be about skin color. You made this racial. And then you lied about it. And there's tape on both things. We just reviewed it in this episode, or maybe you weren't paying attention.
Properly when they're that emotional?
I think
sometimes social pressure comes out that way, doesn't it?
No, I agree that might give you passion to act.
Again, Doug, you asked a very simple question. You got a very simple answer. And then you sound like an apologist. Oh, I agree, but nothing, nigga. Question asked, question answered.
But let's be honest. Do you think you can actually think clearly when your emotions are that high?
No, I think he can.
Doug, you said when I talked to you, I didn't bring up race. You did. Yeah, I called to bring up your comments about race. Doug, you're really... Doug, please don't make me block you. But this is what I mean, y'all. Like, Doug comes through, y'all, and he's acting like Otangelo. Like, Doug, what are you doing, bro? Are you serious? How old are you? Do we have to, like, sit Doug down in a chair? Like, Doug, you're a white dude. You can't go around using your language to offend marginalized people. When you do, you need to apologize and never do it again. Now, can you go over here and sit in this corner and think about what you've done?
Pocket locker.
Holy shit!
Please take your seat.
What an idiot! And I'm taking my meds. I'm bipolar. Everybody knows this. I'm taking my meds. Everybody knows this. Go fuck yourself for that one too, Doug. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm way more entertaining than you'll ever be. Get over it.
So here, go back a little bit in this video, say to just the 3-minute mark, if you would please, and let it play. Even I'll hold my.
What, you mean 3 hour or 3 minute?
Oh, sorry. No, not 3 minutes. Forgive me. Thank you for the correction. I think I'm asking you to go back much too far.
So
if you can go back to like 3 minutes, 3 hours, 11 minutes.
It depends on, so to speak.
Yeah.
I want to see their reaction to you leaving. So whatever their reaction is to you leaving.
Grow up, Doug. Honestly, I'm out of here, man. Have fun with this coward.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right.
See, this is what part of the reason I made a video like that, because this is what Jay just did. As if you want to make change in society, that's not how you behave.
Well, yeah, actually it is.
You think so?
It's one of the ways.
Absolutely.
Do you think people can reason properly when they're that emotional?
I think that
sometimes social pressure comes out that way, doesn't it?
No, I agree that might give you passion to act.
Yep.
But let's be honest. Do you think you can actually think clearly when your emotions are that high?
No, I think he convinced a lot more people than you ever will with his emotions that high.
You think so?
Yep.
Why'd you pause it?
I'm sorry. It's just the fact that they told him straight to his face. They just always tell him straight to his face, and he never accepts it. He never gets it.
Now, what type of people do you think he would convince?
What difference about the type? What difference does that
Well,
make?
no, the point is, like, I think he would resonate with people who feel pain like he feels pain.
That's most people.
I
I'll
be honest.
Like you just said, that's most people, Doug. Most people.
I'm gonna have to watch this one.
You are. You're gonna have to watch this later. No. Okay, all right. I'll let it roll. I thought you wanted to go. I thought you wanted to talk there. All right, my bad.
Well, no. I'd say that to an extent it resonates with me.
But notice what his main complaint was, that I said something, not that it was
Please actually false.
Can you pause, Bob?
Please pause it. You're the best.
All right,
I'm having so much. This is great.
Let me just jump in and say there's a probably an underrated, wonderful thing happening here. At this moment in the video that you're playing, he's being told he's wrong in a very gentle way, right? And he's being told why. He then, as an expression that he uses, is on the back foot, trying to defend his behavior. He's trying to defend his way. He still thinks he's right. So I'm interested to see if it becomes about his emotions now, or him stating what he feels is rational, the rational thing that you could have done that he feels you didn't do. Because so far, everyone on the panel, remaining on the panel, agrees he's wrong. They disagree and acknowledge that, no, being emotional is an excellent way of getting people to understand you. I'm going to share with our audience why that is. It's because we all are. Nearly all of us are. And often we don't have someone listening to us when we're basically stating, this is how I really feel. This is what really needs to change. We say that in our cars. We say that when you're watching the news, and maybe nobody but your pets hear you say it. Maybe nobody. I mean, it's tough to realize how many people see it as clearly as you do. Excuse me. So I think that's a point that he isn't he isn't catching. I think he can understand it. I'm pretty sure he can. He's a sharp guy, but I think maybe at this point it's kind of hard for him to look bad. And I think you succeeded. I don't know that it was intentional. You have succeeded in making him look bad in front of people he wants to be respected by. So go ahead and play the rest, please.
All right, hang on. So I want to say something in response to that. I am starting to think that is not even the issue here. The issue is that some people, and I think I'm actually trying to be fair to Doug when I say this.
Okay.
Some people don't care. And what I'm trying to understand, and I think it's clear that I don't agree with Doug about this thing, and I really do think he's doing something that ought to be interfered with. Let's put it that way. But I think it is his prerogative on his platform to be whoever he wants to be, however he wants to be, for whatever reason he wants to be that way. And I think part of the issue here is that our community, not Doug, I'm not concerned about Doug. And I think this is changing. And I think this week has been maybe that breaking point that changes it. But prior to this point, I have felt like our community is still a little enraptured in Doug. And I felt that way because we were talking about this conversation. We all have different points of entry to our community, right? And usually it's a bigger streamer, right? Because we weren't out here and on, right? So for a lot of people like James Apperson, Derek from Mythvision is the hub of the community. Because when he got into this shit, it was kind of more through Derek's channel, and then he found this community via Derek's channel.
Well, Derek is definitely, he's got it together over there in Mythvision, and he gets great people in there, and the way that he, let's say, respects his guests.
So
is really wonderful to see.
It is, and I'm 100% with you. And he's he's like one of my favorite YouTubers, and like I said, my friend. Love Derek. For a lot of us, though, Doug was that sort of hub channel. Like we were like you and I met through PineCreek's channel, right? Yeah. So I think for whatever reason, our community has been reluctant to not support Doug, right? And I don't mean that in a vengeful, spiteful way. I just mean it in the way of most of us, and I'm talking about people who sort of think about these issues like I do. We don't support generally right-wing content creators, especially if that's what they're about. Right, like, you know what I mean. Like, if like you don't, you might know who Tim Pool is, but you don't consider yourself a Tim Pool fan. Do you see what I'm saying? Is you know who Tucker Carlson is? You sure people react to the Tucker Carlson footage, but you don't yourself go out of your way to watch all Fox News' stuff and then send them, super chats. And for a lot of us, I'm like, yo, list your top 5 super chat contributions every month. For a lot of people in our community, the Cult of the Flying Man, friends and family, it's like Doug is still in our top 5 of people who we're contributing money to month in and month out. And so the question then shifts to, what's up with that? And I'm not saying I have the answer. Maybe the answer is, this is some sort of weird alliance where we're just, he's one of our strong counter-apologists, so we need his voice in our counter-apologetics movement, and we just have to tolerate his right-wingness, and every once in a while he's going to just go on a rant where he wants, go on a, his little thing where he's going to trigger us for a few months, but we got to ride it out with him because that's our Doug. Now I'm not there. I don't think that's what's going on, but maybe that's it, right? Or it could have just been another case of people saying, if I'm really gonna pull the plug on Doug, ooh, that kind of has a little bit of a thing to it. Pull the plug on Doug, right? If I'm really gonna pull the plug on Doug, I gotta really know. I think that's where a lot of us are. I gotta really know, right? Doug's gonna get every benefit of the doubt. Now, the problem is Doug is smart enough to position his ideas, even the worst ones, in a way that will take advantage of that benefit of the doubt, right? And this is the Mott and Bailey that Nathan, Digital Gnosis, was talking to him about doing. He's saying, Doug, what you do is you start with an uncontroversial fact, or in this case, a lot of times a controversial fact, sometimes a questionable fact, which people aren't even sure is a fact. But, he starts with that, and then he really uses it as the shoehorn to a more controversial and indefensible position. And if you say, hey, Doug, we all know where you're going with this, and that's not a place you should be going. He'll go, what do you mean? I'm just doing this fact thing. And so it's like, yeah, but we all know exactly what you're doing when you do that.
Give me one moment. I'll be back in literally 1 minute, 8 seconds.
James is here. And is Doug gonna call in? Like, it's like thanks, people James. Call me out. Like, I'm not gonna let Doug call in and talk. But then I drop the link. I don't see him calling in.
So I just want to brag that my PDAR is working tonight, because I first jumped in when you had to go pee and I could cover for you, and now I'm back because my one black friend.
Yes, it is. That's what this teamwork thing is about, baby.
Teamwork. Tag me in, go to the bathroom. I'll be ready when you come back. So
yes.
So I had thoughts about that. The sociopaths and narcissists do a thing where in order to invalidate your reality, they have to ascribe your perceptions of reality to an emotion, even when it's not an emotion. They link it to an emotion so they can dismiss it. Well, that's just your feelings, right? And even where there is emotion as the primary or secondary event that's happening, it is part of the abusive playbook to invalidate your emotions, right? To invalidate you by invalidating your emotions. And part of what seems so natural to them to do that is they can't empathize with other human beings. They literally can't care about you. And it just blows their mind that anybody cares about anybody. Like, it just doesn't make sense to them. So, but they can't come out and say that because they're outing themselves as a monster. So instead, they just tack your emotions, even when your emotion is compassion, even when your emotion is accountability, right? Even when your emotion is noble and is exactly relevant and should matter. Because without emotions, what the hell do virtues even mean? Who gives a shit about love if there's no emotion? If there's no emotion, there's no love. Who gives a shit about compassion if there's no emotion, there's no compassion? Who even gives a shit about justice without emotion, right? If you don't have emotion, or if you don't think emotions should play into your worldview, then you have no justification left for giving a damn about justice. Because why in the hell would you, right? Other people's justice. You might care about your own, right? Other people's? Why the hell should you? Because that's an emotion, right? So it excuses them from having a worldview and a value system that actually gives a shit about other people. It excuses them from actually having a decent worldview where justice matters and compassion matters and a better world matters. They're not invested in a better world. They couldn't give a shit about who the machine crushes underneath it as long as they're on top of the machine, as long as it's serving their interests. And they've got this thing that I hate about Stoicism, and it's a very far-right thing. It's this idea that if you don't manage to get on top of the machine before it crushes you and squeezes all of the life out of you for the machine to run, before it crushes you, then somehow it's your fault automatically. No matter how much injustice was built into the machine, no matter how disadvantaged you started off in life with, no matter your disabilities, no matter your ethnicity, no matter the poverty you might have been born into, if you don't find a way to thrive, to really conquer all against all odds, before the machine has done so much damage that you're no longer able to, or before you're dead, if you don't find a way to, then their view is, then you didn't rise to the top because you're not made of the winning stuff. You don't have the sauce, right? You didn't want it badly enough, right? And so this way of looking at the world, which defies physics and defies logic, the very thing that they claim to espouse, it defies, because that's not how physics works, not how psychology works, that's not how any aspect of physics works at all. Like, it just isn't. But they don't know that. Doug lives in this cartoon physics universe. So while pushing forward from that position, he doesn't give a shit about people, and he holds to this super conservative stoicism that just says if you suffer and are not thriving in the face of all this adversity that his machine is causing you, then it's your own fault, because it was champions here that see the machine as a motivation to do better, right? They say, oh, look, impossible odds, I'm going to beat them, and then they do, right? They don't say, oh, social injustice, or, oh, I got beaten within an inch of my life the whole time I was growing up and starved. Oh, horrible diseases that are debilitating, poverty or ignorance or whatever else. You don't get to say anything. Even if somebody kidnapped you off the street and locked you in a cage for 20 years, a winner would have found a way out of the cage. A winner would have found a way to become everything they need to be while they're in the cage. A winner would have, right? And so that excuses them from having any empathy.
All right, James, come with me. We need to go to the cafe. My one black friend, you should have the link to the Flying Man Cafe. Do you have that link? Should have been an email I sent you with the other links. If not, you can actually just use the one in the chat.
I'll use the one in the chat.
I didn't block your account. I just timed it out. I gave it a 5-minute
Where's the one in the
timeout.
chat? I know I sound 600 years old, Every time I get
No, you're good.
Where is that?
You should let me. What's the easiest way for me to grab that link? Let me grab it.
If you go to app.gathertown without any extension, it'll bring you to the face of it where you get to choose which map you load into.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll go ahead. I do have the link here.
Gather.town.
But I don't know. Has he been in? But James, has he been in the?
Well, if he hasn't, then he might not have permission.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna get him the.
Okay, I see it. Thank you for the instruction.
Yeah, but do you see the cafe? Can you get in the cafe? Is that one of the options?
Well, I don't know if I can get in it, but
no, as long as you have the as an option, you'll be able to get in. There's no password.
I last visited 14 days ago.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So I guess we did that.
See you guys at the cafe.
All right, yeah, let's go over there. Whoop. Whoop. All right, so it says he's in here.
Oh, yeah, I don't really want to be part of a conversation with PineCreek. I just don't. Like, I don't want to be part of that mess.
No, it's fine.
So
all right.
I'll be back.
All right, that's fine.
But James, is that the real guy or is that someone else?
It's probably the real guy.
It's probably him.
You'll know in a minute because they'll talk.
I don't see where he is. He says he's in here, but I don't.
He's next to GT Punk at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, all right. So, I see. Punk, lead him in here. You guys are the worst at this. You guys are like the worst welcoming committee. No, not you. I'll go. I'll go do it. It's fine.
You guys do your thing. I'll be back.
All right.
Though I am tempted.
You hear me?
Yeah, you got to come over to the table. It's proximity based. There you go. Boom. There you go. All right.
So where on here does it say that you're supposed to use these arrows to get in?
There was a tutorial. I don't know. Maybe you skipped it, but there's normally the first time you log in to Gather, it gives you like a little tutorial.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, it's a little arrows. Yeah, you skipped it. All right. No worries. All right, Doug. What say you? I don't want to. I'll give you a chance to speak up. And thanks for calling in. Finally, sorry that this is what it took, but we're glad we finally got Doug to call in. Everybody.
What do I want to say? I don't know. Like it's. What's a person's guy? Like, is he here? Or did he leave?
Who?
That a person's guy?
Apperson. Yeah. Apperson? He left. Yeah. He left.
Yeah, like to me, that's indicative of a problem, right? Like, let's say he views me as an enemy, a bad guy, a racist, whatever. Why won't he talk to me?
Maybe just why would you say that that's bad? I mean, you block people. There are people you've decided you don't want to talk to.
That's true. He can, but I heard him before he left say, I specifically don't want to talk to Doug. Why not?
Because I don't think he thinks there's to him there's a lower probability that this is a productive conversation than for myself or my one black friend.
That's one explanation.
Well, I think he clearly has his own ideas about what he values. And
how do I get my face up there? Like, I can see you guys, but can you see me?
I see you. But
so my face is there?
It may be that you don't resonate with him, and so he doesn't want to waste his time talking to you if it isn't going to be anything that is edifying to him.
Also, to be simpler, Doug, I think I know I consider myself a former fan and a big one, and my one black friend is probably in that same boat, at least definitely a fan, and I don't think James ever was, so it probably means less to him on an interpersonal level, yeah.
Okay, well, that doesn't matter, but I guess I'll just say as an intro, I'm a Canadian citizen, U.S. resident, I don't vote. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch any right-wing media. I like to think I'm fairly balanced, but I do lean right because of the way I've raised on a farm. What else? I made those videos purposely to get the reaction I'm seeing today. And but what I think is useful about the videos I made and getting the reactions I'm seeing today is that it demonstrates who is likely to actually engage in conversation and who isn't. So I know some people might think I'm a terrible racist, but look, I'm talking, whereas a guy like a person, whatever his name was, left, right? And Jay, I'm glad you're talking to me today, but the other day with, what channel was that? Oh, Nitty's channel. For example, you brought up the trans issue, and I said, well, let's talk about it. Remember, I said, let's talk about it. And you said, no, don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, because I didn't want to talk about that, right? You used that as a tactic.
No, you said, okay, was it that you didn't want to talk about that, or you didn't want to talk to me?
No, it was that I wanted to talk. I honestly wasn't really. I was trying to call out the fact that for some reason, you get to say these things. You get to play out of this playbook, and it's very clear where you're coming from. You said it. You said it. Oh, you've said it in your own words 1,000,000 times. You said it today. I made it to get this reaction out of people. Now, right. I don't think that that's a good thing to do. I think it's a terrible thing to do. And I don't even think it's useful. We totally fundamentally disagree about whether or not that's even a valuable thing to do. I argue it's an anti-value thing to do.
Okay, and
I think you are
that.
kicking people when they're down. And
Jay, I got it.
Fine, you might disagree, but my point was, what I didn't like is the fact that Tux and Nitty and the panel that you were on were basically trying to communicate this to you, and I give them credit for that. I give them credit for
communicate what?
But they were kind of trying to tell you that, Doug, I think we understand why, people had that reaction, and I think they were trying to, as best that they could, communicate to you what the problem was.
I totally understand why people have that reaction.
So. Right. So then I think that the issue that I was kind of frustrated with is like, why are we even, and I guess I'm guilty of doing the same thing right now, like, why are we giving you the time of day? Because for the most part, when we interact with right-wing apologists, it's sort of can we get through? It's like, can we get through this person or not? Right?
That whole phraseology, can we get through to this person or not? Like, sure, there's going to be things in my life that someone might need to get through to me, but maybe there's things in your life that someone will need to get through to you. This is why, partly for the reason why I did what I did, because it forces people to talk about uncomfortable things, to sit down and have conversations. And my point was, and it has been, if I do say myself, brilliantly demonstrated.
Don't think so. Totally
disagree. That when someone is emotional, it leads them to walk away and leave the conversation. We've seen that. I saw that with you, and I saw that with this person's guy, whatever. And so I think all three of us are agreed we don't want that. Are we agreed?
Not necessarily. No, not really. Because to be honest with you, some of this stuff.
I'll be happy to comment on this. I do feel what is lacking in our society is people being civil with each other and continuing the conversation with the goal of understanding the other side. I think that is the greater thing to do. Let me understand this person and not focus so much on them understanding me, unless I'm miscommunicating my message. So, Doug, I think you have a responsibility, and maybe you didn't understand it this way. Maybe you did. You can tell me. When you made the point in one of your videos from Thursday, I believe it was, that 50% of the people committing the murders in those cities were Black people, did you happen to comment on who the other 50% were? I didn't watch the whole video. I don't know. Maybe you did.
No, he never mentions any other. No, I'm just going to call it what it is. I'm going to let him answer, but I need him to understand this. Doug, you never call out any other demographic color-wise, ever.
That's untrue.
now, so PineCreek, I want to hear your thoughts. I understand Jay
To answer your questions, the answer is no.
Okay. And why wouldn't, did you think that was important, or no, it's not important?
Because in the context of the conversation, we were talking about where the murders are committed and who they vote for.
Right, but you showed the county. Pocket Locker brought this up in our broadcast.
Yes, I already know your question. I already know your question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, your question is, why did you say city and then show counties? Because when you look at the percent who voted for Trump or Biden, you cannot get city data. You can only get county data. Now, so yes, there's a problem there. However, when I looked at it,
maybe just admit the data is
Wait,
there.
Pocket Locker, please. I'm trying to hear him, please.
And so, but the majority of the population within each of those counties is indeed the city. So it's a good representation of the city when you use the county data. Does that make sense?
Okay, so that's fine. But the other 50%, Doug, who do you think makes up that group of people?
White
people. Okay. So if you wanted to make your point the best possible way, wouldn't it be to include who the other 50% is? Because if you don't, to a certain number of people who have their brain turned on, you appear to be skewing the data.
What was the very first part? I missed the very first part of your sentence when you first started to speak right just now. If you wanted to, what? Or something like that?
If you wanted to, forgive me, I don't know exactly precisely what I said, so I'm going to just start over.
Okay.
My question to you is, if you want to show the best light, shine the best light, this flashlight, if you want to shine the best light on the problem, isn't it important to show who that other half of the people are committing?
But you're assuming a goal, right? My goal wasn't that. My goal was to make people like Jay go up in arms and yell and stomp around and show that that's not helpful.
Allow me to tell you that you are not helpful. What you're trying to provoke.
We're talking, are we?
but I would have been happy to have this conversation with you without anybody being offended. I think we can have this whole conversation about the same topic without anyone being offended.
The issue wasn't the topic, though, my one black friend. The issue really wasn't the topic. The issue was I just found something that I knew would trigger people and then see how they react.
But and then didn't you already know?
Now, what if?
No, well, but I wanted other people to see it with their own eyes as well. And if you notice that just today or yesterday, actually, I put out 2 videos to trigger the right.
Here's what you need to understand. Number one, I'm going to put out a couple of videos to trigger the right, and now I'm fair. I'm not going to pass. Let's just shut that down right there. Also,
why is that not fair?
Because it just isn't. That's not how this works.
Well, so I want to
hang on. Let me address this real quick. Here's why. The same reason your first video sucked. The one that Tuck said was brilliant. Yeah, I disagree. Don't think it was brilliant. Here's why. When people said that they didn't feel Trump was elected legitimately and they didn't feel like, he should have been president, what they were doing, and you know this, either that or you're really dumb, is that they were critiquing the fact of the Electoral College, which is a long-standing critique that people make all the time.
Well, except for the Harris one.
What do you mean, except for the Harris one?
The Harris clip in there was about the Russian thing. That's why she said he was illegitimate.
Okay. Anyway, that conversation is around the fact that he was not elected based on the popular vote. And regardless of people's feelings of that, nevertheless, they accepted Trump's presidency. Everything went along, right? Now, on the flip side, right? So in other words, there's a valid critique, number one. And number two, they went along civilly anyway. Now, on the flip side, right? Now,
I agree.
Hang on. Now, on the flip side, we have a case where people are making the accusation that the election was stolen, but it wasn't. In neither, in not in that same context, it is not in neither regard. It wasn't. Matter of fact, and we know that. And then
I agree.
Hang on, okay. And then number two, those people did not go along with the peaceful transfer of power. There literally was an insurrection. So
I agree.
Okay, cool. So then here's what you don't seem to understand. There's a chance at which you then making a video that equates those things is irresponsible because you already know that you're implying something that isn't true.
But this is where I disagree, because you're now assuming that I'm equating.
Again, this is where I'm doing you the privilege of sharing my opinion with you. And I already know you don't agree. So let's just table that, because I pretty much wouldn't be here if I thought there was any chance that you were going to agree with me. What I'm trying to get you to understand is why your lack of agreement is irrelevant.
Well, no, did you hear just previously I agreed with you like 3 times?
Yeah.
And then on this one thing I disagreed. So there are things that I agree with you and disagree with you both, right?
But the thing is, you're only agreeing with me on the facts, which you're not understanding.
Yes, those are the most important things to agree on.
No, see, that's again where we're disagreeing. Because what you're doing is inhumane and you're not understanding that. So here's the thing. I could stab you in the neck right now and you'd start bleeding, correct? Now, if I did that, and I said, hey, I just wanted to do that to prove that when I stab somebody, they will bleed, and then that bleeding will cause them to have a medical emergency. Now, I would never do that. Most people would never do that. But what you do is you do this thing where you say, I'm going to say hurtful things to people with the expressed intent of hurting them.
Yes.
And then you somehow act like they're the problem when they are in fact hurt by your hurtful behavior,
can I respond to that?
Just because you wouldn't find that particular behavior hurtful.
To that, please?
Hang on, I'm not even done with the claim yet.
Pocket locker,
and then on top of that, you throw marginalized people under the bus when you do it. So you don't just do it to anybody. You do it to our most vulnerable people. And now you can talk.
I would say it's best to not make a point too long. Deal with your...
he can handle it. He's a big boy.
But you have people listening that aren't you, and they aren't PineCreek. So please, if you're going to make a point, keep it on the shorter side so he can respond. And then, I think that's
you're an asshole because of the facts that you bring up, not because the facts aren't true.
Whoa.
There it is. I made it concise in case they can follow
speak
along.
For himself. You ask him a question. I don't even know if he remembers it all, but if he does,
that's why. I just gave you the concise version. You're an asshole because of the facts you bring up, not because the facts aren't true. How much more? I'm simply stating my case. I know you don't like the language, but that's how I feel. I'm not representing my one black friend. My personal opinion is if you need a concise version of what I have to say, let me make it very concise for you. You're an asshole because of the facts you choose to bring up, not that they're not factual. I'm making it concise. I'm trying to make everybody happy. I'll just shut up from now on. I just won't talk.
Okay, so my response to that about hurting people with my words and like the videos I make, I think everybody here would agree that I make videos that hurt a lot of Christians. Like I say things purposely sometimes, not all the time, that really deeply hurts the most intimate relationship a Christian could have, and that's with their Savior and Lord Jesus Christ. And I say things like, he's dead, he doesn't even exist anymore, this is a figment of your imagination, Yahweh is a douchebag. I've said these things over and over again. I've hurt them. I know I have, and I continue to do it. That's point number one. Point number two is you can have two people hear the exact same things coming out of my mouth. Let's say they're even two African Americans, Jay, and one be deeply offended and call me an a-hole like you did. The other one just say, I kind of see what Doug's getting at. He is making a point that maybe you need to calm down and not let these emotions overtake you so we can actually come together and solve some of these problems like murder in big cities.
Please tell me. Wait, hang on. You're missing my one black friend's point.
I'm almost done.
Okay, go ahead.
So and then let me speak for myself, and you can follow up if I missed something. PineCreek, please.
So to sum it up, I asked myself, what is the difference between those two African Americans? One like you, Jay, and one like you, my one black friend, who can actually hear things, and you both could disagree with me equally as much, My one black friend is sitting there calmly and listening to me, whereas you, Jay, you fly off the handle. And if my one black friend wasn't here right now, I would probably be gone by now because you would either have booted me or it'd be just a swear fest.
Okay, we're different people. Continue. Go ahead. I just said we're different people. That's all I wanted to say because I don't think that was a good point. We're just different people. Go ahead.
PineCreek, do you have more to say?
This guy's dumb
right now.
No, that about sums it up.
That sums it up. Okay, I want to address my remarks to you. We can agree that there's always going to be a spectrum of reactions. We can agree that not every opportunity is used to its fullest. And I think in the video about the crime, gun violence, I think that, or murder rate, I don't know that it's specifically gun violence. And the video about the Republican reactions, but with the Democrats' interviews, I think to some degree, what you could have done, and you can still do this, you now can go back and produce those same videos, but juxtaposed. Yes, 50% roughly of the murderers are black. Yes, roughly 50% of the murderers are white. Imagine if you put that video out there where you show, right? Look, folks, the problem is on all sides. It's not just one group doing it.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying.
Allow me to just make, and believe me, I want to hear what you got to say. I did say that Jay could talk after, but I definitely want to come back to you. Okay, I want that to be clear. I want your remarks. Your video about the January 6th crowd. I would encourage you to take this. Don't change any audio at all, but now put the Republicans talking about fighting. I disagree with that language. It's the same video. You get them saying it and you realize, wait a second, maybe one side misbehaved. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You can finally get those people who aren't thinking about their actions and the consequences and how it looks to think about it. Now, that's all I had to say. Thank you for hearing me. Pocket Locker, your comments, and then I want to bring it back to PineCreek so he can comment.
I'll let Doug respond, and then I can.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say the majority of atheists are already Democrats, liberals, whatever you want to call them, and so the point of why would I do what you are asking of me if I want to bother those? The whole goal was to bother a certain subset of people on purpose. Mm-hmm. And so,
I can answer that.
And so that wouldn't be bothering them. That would be making them cheer and say, "Yay, good, we love you now, Doug." And I don't want them to love me. But anyhow, go ahead.
Well, and I don't know if you caught any of the other broadcasts we did just before this. The reason why I can make that suggestion to you is you anger both sides, not just one. You anger both sides. You offend both sides. That's
okay. Can I'll respond to that too.
Please.
Yeah. I think this is just a guess, but I think you really won't anger the right that much because they've seen it so many times already. But I have found very few videos on the internet like what I produced. There are some out there. Mm-hmm. And so I really do think that if I did exactly what you said, exactly the way you wanted, the people on the right would say, who cares? The people on the left, though, we see the reaction we see.
I mean, I agree with that, but I still just think you're approaching all of this wrong. And I got to be honest, Doug, I think the big miss with you is that you're defending this. And again, the one thing my one black friend said is, yeah, sure, that's great if you're trying to have a conversation where we're going to sit down and all understand each other. And you're not that person.
I'm sorry, defending what?
Like you said, if we're gonna have this thing where we then all sit down and have this conversation where we're trying to understand each other, that was by your own.
No, but what am I defending?
The fact that you're defending the videos you made and the sort of stance that you've taken.
Defending
on
the videos I made.
Yeah, like rather than realizing it, like because there's an opportunity to say like, hey, I missed the boat here, or maybe I shouldn't have done this, right? But instead,
because you do know, Jay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you do know I do not think the election was stolen. You know that, right? That I do not
completely think that, but I understand that. But Doug, that's not the issue.
So there's nothing to defend.
No, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is when somebody does something in poor taste, fine. If you want to give them an opportunity to talk through it, fine. But if all they're going to continue to do is try to convince you that it was really in good taste and it was really for your own benefit and it was really great, then again, for me, it's like, fine. But then the rest of us need to respond to you appropriately. And what I'm trying to get to is I don't think the rest of us are responding to you appropriately. Because I think you're making it...
What would be appropriate?
Oh, to treat you like somebody who's intentionally hurting people.
Like Christians?
Plain and simple.
Again, you didn't do when I was doing with the Christians.
Doug, this is different because Christianity's not true. And I know that this is deliberately where you go.
No, we're talking about feelings. We're talking about feelings, not the reasons behind the feelings.
Again, yes, but Doug, I see. This is where this is the problem.
Why is it you're more concerned about a certain group of people's feelings and not, let's say, the Christian feelings?
Honestly, because Christianity is a thing that demonstrably is not true. And the bad facts about Christianity have nothing to do with systematic prejudice and bias against Christianity. I get that they still have feelings, Doug, but number one, they're not considered a marginalized and oppressed group. Number two, when you go at Christianity, it is different. And that's the problem, is that you are trying to equivocate on things that should not be equivocated on.
I've gone against Muslims too.
If I say to you, okay, but Doug, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I go against the New York Giants. Now, I can't wake up tomorrow and say, hey, I'm going to go against LGBT people. And then when the LGBT defenders get outraged, go, well, hey, nobody gets upset when I go after the New York Giants. Doug, pretending to do these are your tactics, and it's totally whataboutism, and it's irritating that you keep doing this.
But it's good whataboutism. No, it's effective whataboutism, because I've just shown Jay that.
No, it's stupid. Again, Doug, listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. It is like me taking a pointed object and poking you in your side with it, and then when you go, don't do that. Me going, aha, look how smart I am because I've demonstrated that if I poke at you in a way that is deliberately harmful, you will in fact demonstrate the harm reaction. Sure, Doug, you can do that, but it just makes you a jerk who goes around hurting people in ways that are obvious. So you're not teaching anybody anything because it's obvious that when you say hurtful things to people deliberately honestly, my problem isn't with you. Really, the whole episode is my one black friend. We're trying to get him caught up to the drama, so hopefully he can see what the rest of us see, which is that this thing Doug's been doing and hinting at, and we've seen this pattern with him going into the alt-right playbook, is actually who he is.
Can I respond?
He does this because he thinks it's fun. He wants to trigger us. He wants to upset us, and he'll say it in his own words. Go ahead, Doug.
Okay. Then let him do that here.
Yeah. So when I get your point, I'm hurting people. It's like poking them on the side. But then when I ask, well, I do the same thing with Christians, and you say, well, that's not true. But it doesn't matter if it's true or not. These are real feelings from real people who believe it's true. And then you ask, but they're not how did you phrase it?
My argument wasn't the feelings, Doug. And you keep misrepresenting it. Yes.
Okay. Let's say your argument's something else, but you were talking about poking people, prodding people.
Well, now we're wasting our time because you're responding to something that is not the subject, which is
hold on.
Because here's what he's seriously doing. Here's what he's really doing. I brought up something. He brought up a distraction. I tried to correct it and get him back on course. And now he's going to say, okay, well, let's say that you're not saying that, but let me respond to the distraction anyway. Okay, Total apologetics. But go ahead, Doug.
He started
grab at it.
Poking in the side example.
Yeah, I'm just
and you blocked him.
Just like I do with Christians, I've repeated back what you said. You said a lot of things, so it's difficult. But you mentioned that things like purposely hurting people, yes. You mentioned poking people, yes. Why are you doing this, Doug? Right? Things, this type of rhetoric, right, Jay?
Correct.
Did you? Yes.
Correct.
You just admitted that this is the things you've said to me that I think you have a problem with. You're basically saying I shouldn't do those things. Is that correct, Jay? Walk into the trap. Just go ahead and walk right in.
Why did I say that, though?
Because it hurts people.
Who?
Many people.
Wrong. Doug, what are my issues with saying things to hurt these people, Doug?
Because they're a protected class? Is that what you said?
Well, that's a very good way to describe it, actually. Yes. So number one, you're probably talking about a protected class. But if I say that, then you're going to say, isn't religion a protected class? And Doug, this is just racist nonsense. If somebody can't have a conversation with you about racism without you bringing up, no, seriously, this is a very, this
is the race card, Jay. That's what you're doing.
The race card. And let me tell you something about the race card. I'm going to tell you something very serious about life. This is a clue to surviving in America if you give a shit, which I already know you don't. But let me clue you in, and for anybody else in the audience that might be listening. When conversations of race come up and people try to gently tell you you're missing something, if you're white and those are people of color, shut the fuck up and listen to them. Because here's what you don't realize. Regardless of your experience, your facts, whatever you can look up on the internet and do your own research on, you have no clue what it's like to live as a person of color. And if you don't get that, then fine, but I'm just telling you, the clue you need to take as a default is if you are not X, shut the up when X tries to tell you what their issues and concerns are. So what I am trying to tell you is when that happens, Doug, you cannot be the white guy who goes through life saying, oh, anytime something of race comes up, what I get to do is say, oh, well, y'all don't mind when I hurt other people's feelings about other things, because that is the very type of behavior that marginalizes our experience in the first place. Somebody's always making some excuse about why it's okay to throw us under the bus. And if you want to respond to my objections, clearly, Doug, I've repeated this, not just today, but on your channel and on Nitty's. The issue is you picked a weaponized time to throw people like me under the bus for no other reason than to further hurt us during a critical time when we needed your help. Go ahead, my one black friend.
PineCreek.
Yeah.
The last, say, 20 seconds of what he just said.
Yeah.
Were you intentionally trying to do what he just said? Were you looking to hurt a group of marginalized people?
No. If you look at the second video I made, it was about Democrats. I was trying to hurt Democrats.
Okay.
PineCreek, you made it about skin color. Do not lie on my show. Don't lie on my show.
Pocket Locker, please.
He went out of his way to make it about skin color.
No, Jay, listen to me. Listen to me. In that video, race is never brought up. Race was brought up when I started talking to Doug Dean. You're right. Race was brought up there. But the reason it was brought up there because I was trying to point it to Democrats.
Okay.
Because most African Americans vote for Democrats in those Democratic cities.
And that was where you fucked up.
So
go ahead, my one black friend.
Why is that bad?
Did you realize that when your video is seen, most people don't have the understanding that it wouldn't be about black people? Did you realize that or no? You said Democrats. You're trying to, but a lot of black people are Democrats.
Yes.
Was it white Democrats? Were you trying to outrage white Democrats?
No, the video, watch the video. There's only two things in the video. Have you seen it?
Yes, counties and murder rates.
Yeah, right? Counties, murder. Sorry, I guess three things.
Counties.
And who they voted for. That was it.
Can I handle?
Okay.
Can I answer his question? He did ask me a question. Can I answer? He asked me what was wrong with it. Can I answer his question?
Yeah. What's wrong with? But
okay,
remind
I'm going
people
to try to be clear.
What is wrong with what? Remind them what was wrong.
What we're talking about is you're saying what is wrong if I brought up skin color. I only did it because I wanted to talk about Democrats, and I only want to talk about Democrats because I want to talk about how the Democratic cities are in, or sorry. The cities with the highest murder rates are in Democratic counties. Is that correct? That's what you said, right? I only brought up skin color to make this point about the highest murder cities are in Democratic counties, correct? All right, cool. So here's the issue. We are living, and you have to know this. And if you don't, you need to right now admit that you don't know this, but I'm sure you know this. We are living in a time where people are trying to strip people of color of their rights, and they are doing so by weaponized attacks against the Democrats. And they use their political agenda, their culture war nonsense, like the other issues you keep bringing up, right? LGBT and abortion and class and all of this stuff, you keep touching on it. They are using those issues as cover. The right wing that you lean. You tell us all the time, I lean right, I lean conservative. Okay, well, right now,
all the right wing, half the right wing.
But the right wing playbook is the flavor of right wingness in America, Doug, is racism. So when you dog whistle, hang on, listen to it. I want to make sure I connect these dots for you, Doug. When you dog whistle to a racist agenda, right?
Dog whistle.
Using the politics, using their political buzzwords, and then you deliberately draw out the connection to skin color, you have got to be aware that is that's the problem, Doug, is you're
so
okay? You can't be totally insensitive.
So your advice to me would be not to bring up skin color?
Honestly, abso-fucking-lutely, Doug. It's America. What do you think is going on in 2023?
Is that a yes or no?
Yes, it's a yes. Don't bring up skin color, ever.
But you can.
Yes, true. Yes, correct. Yes.
You can call me Whitey, you white guy. You can do it.
Doug, here's what I'm saying to you.
Is that a yes?
It's a suggestion, Doug. I'm not telling you it's a hard and fast rule, but here's what I'm giving you a suggestion, Doug. I'm being honest with you.
Is that some black privilege?
Yes, in a sense, it's one of the few we have. Yes, Doug, this is true, right? It's like if it comes to gender issues,
see
right?
How disgusting this is?
Listen, be honest with you, Doug. If I
think there's a better way to discuss it.
There might be, and Doug, I'm not saying you can't, but you asked me. I'm making a suggestion. And what I'm saying is, Doug, here's certain things. There are very sensitive issues in our society. They're sensitive for a reason, right? Now, here's the thing. If you live those things, then people always welcome your voice because that is your lived experience. However, if you don't have that lived experience, we also are willing to hear your voice. But if your voice manifests in a way that is harmful rather than helpful, most of us then have a right to then tell you it would probably be better if you reconsider that opinion before furthering participation in this conversation, because as of right now, your participation is not helpful. That's what I'm trying to tell you, to be clear. Go ahead, my one black friend.
I want Doug to respond, and then I want to jump in with...
well, you haven't talked for a while. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay, wonderful. You have a unique household in the United States. Would your opinions change if your children came home disgusted by how someone had treated them? I don't give a crap what ethnicity that person was, but based on your children, their home situation, having a mother who's one ethnicity and a father who's a different ethnicity.
So you want me to answer that question, or
please do? Yes.
Okay. So you start the question: would your opinion change?
Yes.
What is the opinion you're referring to?
Would your opinion about provoking the conversation and allowing it to lead a conversation that leads to race? For instance, Doug Dean, I believe you said the man's name was. And PineCreek, forgive me, I haven't seen the whole interview with Doug Dean. I saw a small portion. Just like when you're on Nitty's channel, I saw a small portion, okay? I don't have the full context. Otherwise, I'd have better questions for you and for Pocket Locker. But knowing that the conversation can lead to an indictment of Black people as a group, right? Because people don't think, oh yeah, the murderers are the only ones wrong. They generalize, and I think this has been part of the sickness that has been going on in the world.
Okay, I'll answer your question. No, it wouldn't change. I would still have made that video.
So okay,
Doug.
So let's say,
okay.
and I can tell you why too if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay, Pocket Locker. PineCreek, you said you can tell me why. Please.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I do not live in the parts of the United States where murders like that happen. I live in a very good neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I have police officers as neighbors, literally 3 of them within a stone's throw, who know or potentially could know my children. Mm-hmm. So it's not like there's any threat, or I shouldn't say any, but the threat level is very low. So I totally get it that I, in that sense, live in a very privileged place. Mm-hmm. And some people don't.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't want
so that's my honest answer, why it wouldn't bother me.
Well, my neighborhood might be a bit, I don't live in a gated community, but I have 2 neighbors that are, one's the sheriff's officer, one works for Santa Monica PD. 2 of my neighbors are firefighters. One of my neighbors is a national hero. But if I go down the block, I have more and more neighbors, people I actually know who are law enforcement or retired law enforcement and firefighters. I'm surrounded by wonderful people. Right?
Yeah. So would you say that my video put you at risk in any way?
Your video doesn't put me at risk in any way, but what I want you to, I guess what I want you to understand is your
actually it does. I disagree, but
Pocket Locker, please. Well, I'm happy to have your comments, but just let me address what he's asking. I mean, we're having a conversation now, right? We're getting our thoughts out there, our motives.
I'm literally done. I just wanted to say I disagree, but go ahead. I'm done.
Fine. So your children are going to leave the house one day. They're going to go out there and maybe have families of their own, or go to school somewhere. Maybe I think one of them is old enough to already have started school. But they're going to leave the shelter of their neighborhood and step out into the real world. And the real world has people who are doing what you're doing, only their motivations are to get more people to join the Klan. Their motivations are to get more people to join other hate groups. And I don't care whether those groups have Black people, white people, Latinos, or Asians in them, or whatever else is out there for ethnicities. They may not be so kind. They may be trying to turn people against your children and you and your wife. How do you address them?
How do I address them, meaning my wife and kids?
No. Well, actually, that's a good question, too. So how do you address the hate groups that will hate on your children and you?
Okay, yeah, I'll answer both. Which one do you want first?
Please. It's up to you.
Okay, the hate groups, I would invite them on my channel and talk with them. Something I think Jay would really struggle to do.
Again, do I get to say I do it all the time? But go ahead. All the time, Doug.
Okay, I could be wrong. And then with my wife and kids, thanks. My wife, speaking of which, my wife just handed me some water. Like, we've lived in the United States for 20 some years. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, we've experienced as an interracial couple almost no racism. We live in Arizona. We've done a lot of traveling. The places that we've experienced the most racism, I would say, is Kentucky. And it was at a hog roast. But it basically was stares, and that's it. So now I'm just giving you my lived experience, as Jay would say.
Which is valuable.
Well, not that much, but it's valuable to me. But in the real world, it's not that valuable.
But it is valuable, Doug, because within your lived experience, we know you haven't seen, and maybe what you haven't seen influences you to do
right.
I guess allows you there's a piece of their knowledge, pieces of knowledge that you don't have because maybe.
No, I have it. Not a lived experience of it though.
Okay, fair enough. And we can agree the lived experience is what? Is it more powerful or less
Yes,
powerful?
it's definitely more powerful. So I totally get where Jay's coming from. But although I'm not so sure Jay's experienced the lived experience part of that either.
I'll let Jay speak
like directly, because I know when you came on my channel, Jay, I asked you a little bit about your backstory, and I remember just a little bit of it. But
Doug, just okay. Let me. This is where you say you have the knowledge, but you speak as though you don't. There's no such thing as a black person in America who hasn't experienced racism. So get whatever notions of, but there are rich black people, famous black people who have wonderful lives. There's no such thing as black people who haven't experienced racism. Yeah, yes, I mean no such thing. So don't ever in your life, this is what I mean about certain faux pas. This is not funny. This is what I mean about certain things you got to get through your thick skull, right? Here's the deal. You may not feel what other people feel, but these are certain things that if you are too far outside the range of the normal response, people are going to literally think like there's absolutely something seriously wrong with you. So what I'm actually suggesting, Doug, is that you learn how to fake it better. You've just got to learn, seriously, with these things, like you just can't. Yeah.
Yes.
If that's what you want, yeah, seriously.
Now take your own advice, Jay.
Nope.
When you get emotional, try to fake it.
Nope.
Works for you? I mean, for me, but not you?
Yes. It works to say that.
You see the double standard you have?
It's not a double standard. Because you have to remember the foundation starts from, I am starting from a place where I'm not doing anything other than responding rationally to an attack on people like me. What you're then doing is saying, well, no, I do the same thing. No, again, Doug, you are out of bounds. And so like any other behavior where people are out of bounds and we need them to understand that there are social consequences for stepping that far out of bounds.
What's the most racist thing that's ever happened to you?
Then tell them, Doug, I grew up as the only black kid in an all-white school. And if you don't know what that means, then Doug, that is an inappropriate.
What's the most racist thing that's happened to you?
This is, can I touch your hair?
Pocket locker?
Can I touch your hair? I'm really interested.
Answer him.
No.
Answer.
No.
You know what you do when you answer him?
Question.
When you answer him,
you become awful question.
If you don't answer the question,
personal attack.
It makes you hard to be relatable.
Scumbag.
I'm trying to tell you,
Doug. I don't even know. What's the period of time you want growing up? You want recently?
I want your whole life. What's the worst thing that's happened to you that you think is racism?
What about all the threats to take my life because I'm black?
You've had people threaten your life?
Yes. Even as a child, Doug. As a child. People threatened me with gun violence as a child, just over girls. Because they didn't want to be the family where their daughter is dating the black kid. Right? When you're the only black kid and they don't want you dating, right? So so now you get cornered a lot in the bathroom, like, oh, we're gonna jump you, or you get threatened to get beat up. But sometimes you get this straight, oh, my dad wants me to let you know that he keeps a 357 Magnum by his bedside.
So as a kid, your life was threatened?
All the time, Doug. Doug, I just told you. You asked me the question, I answered it. Now, we can talk about recently how on YouTube people think it's cool to call into my show and then just drop the N-bomb literally on their way out. They'll just say hard R nigger a bunch of times, or they'll just call in and just literally yell it to my face repetitively. People have seen it on this channel.
Have you ever been beat up for being black?
No, but that's only because I've mostly been able to talk my way out of it. But certainly people have put me in the situation many a time where they imply that is what they intended to do. Unfortunately, they usually did it with people I was able to have a little bit of sway on that they didn't count on.
So would it be fair to say that every form of racism that you've encountered have been words?
No, because I've been subject to some really fucked up shit with, I didn't even talk about the police shit I've dealt with, like with the criminal justice system. So I don't know. There's that, like, I've had pretty much police make me fear for my life. And have some really, matter of fact, I've even had shit that happened so bad with cops that the judge said to my parents to their face, that was the worst behavior I've ever seen on behalf of this police department.
Yeah, see, and Jay, I'm in your corner on this. Like, if a police
you're not.
Did something
you're
like
absolutely
that,
not. You know why, Doug? You're not. Here's why you're not. I'll hear him out. Go ahead.
Please.
I don't want that sort of thing happening to you either. How can I not be on the same team as you when I say that?
Here's why. Because then what needs to happen is about your behavior. You may want to be on my side about that. But when the day before the election, you wake up and you say, hey, it's the day before the election. Let me, again, and you're going to have to accept that this is how people are going to see this. Let me dog whistle to the ultra-racist conservative right, because I think going into midterms, it'd be a great idea to trigger the left, just like the ultra-racist conservatives wake up every single day trying everything under their power to trigger and hurt the left, instead of saying, hey, it's the day before the election. Let's make sure we protect black people's right to vote. Let's make sure we protect and vote for those people who are going to push the policies that are helpful to our
I don't mean to be rude, but we've
color.
heard this like 10 times already. So
that's what it takes. You gotta act like you're on our team, Doug. You gotta play for our team.
Like I'm on your team.
You gotta score points for our team, because when you score points for the other yes, Doug, you just said you're on my side.
Okay, this is where there's a fundamental difference.
You literally said you're on my side, and then when I say team, you critique me. So this is what I'm saying. If you're on my Doug, this issue is this is the issue. Right. You literally...
There's many issues. This is what I'm trying to... And I think even my one black friend is on my side, team.
I don't think he is. He's just taking a gentler approach.
We need to minimize the us versus them. The team, my team, your team.
You just said my side. See what you do?
I was being facetious.
And so am I. But then so it's a figure of speech. But when you say
I gotta run.
But then you gotta go.
Well, no, seriously, we've been going a while, and I'll give you reasons why I have to leave. The Arizona Cardinals
it doesn't matter
playing.
About that. The
Arizona Cardinals are playing. I would like to watch it before I play poker in about an hour and a half. So I'm not just saying this to run away.
Please think about this. If you want people to accept you as an ally, you have to behave like one.
As an ally,
especially when
ally to who?
Doug.
To be very specific.
Let me be very specific. If you said you do not want me to experience threats of violence due to the color of my skin, then you need to behave in a way that shows your commitment to creating a world where people like me under threat of violence are not under threat of violence.
Can you make me a list of behaviors I should do and follow?
Yes, here's what you do.
No, codify it for me, please.
When you wake up and
then we can worship it together.
Here's what you do. When you wake up in the morning and you think about making a video the day before an election, what you think about is, are there any marginalized groups that this content might harm?
Okay.
And hang on. If the answer to that question is yes, then really consider not making that content that day.
Okay, before I go, I need to ask you this, and you just remind me of it. If I make a video just before Ramadan that really disparages and shows Islam to be like false and ridiculous, and it hurts a black Muslim, what say you? Did I do a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I'm not a black Muslim. But, I would consider it very strongly. Yeah, you got to consider the tone of it. I mean, Doug, here's the thing. Intentions matter. And even what my one black friend said was very clear. He said, if your intention is so that we sit down and have the conversation, and yes, we're having the conversation, but we're having the conversation because we're YouTubers. And so we, have to make sure that the thing you did is the difference in whether or not we would truly have the conversation, which I think it's pretty clear most of us are saying it's not. But the other thing is, you have to consider what your intent was. And when you tell people, my intent was to trigger you, my intent was to set people off, my intent was to hurt people's feelings, that is not considered something that we're going to receive as well, because it isn't true that your intent was to help us build peace and understanding and to help promote a peaceful conversation. And if it was, why not choose a peaceful way to do it?
Is it okay to provoke and trigger a white racist?
Is it okay to provoke and trigger?
Like if I made a video that made Trump supporters look really stupid and I really triggered them,
honestly,
is that okay?
I would say if you made it just to trigger and hurt them, it's probably not that constructive.
Okay. Well, you're being consistent then.
I'll say PineCreek. I think, again, it's clear. I think you're missing an opportunity. If you really want to deliver a message that is powerful, you do make it even-handed. Sort of like at the end of Romeo and Juliet when the sheriff says, all are punished.
I did. You haven't seen the videos yet.
Wait a minute. Now, to be fair to you, you did tell me that in this conversation you made other videos that I haven't seen. So and my eyeballs open.
And I need to let you know that I didn't make them. I set out a community post saying, hey, I want to trigger the other side now.
Is that on Twitter by chance?
No, it's on my YouTube channel, on the community page. I put out a post, and then I said, give me ideas, but it has to be the same way I triggered the Democrats. So it has to be like within a 2-minute time frame for like whatever. And so I got a whole bunch of ideas. I took 2 of them, which I thought were the best. It was shaming the Republicans who are more specifically the evangelical Christian Republicans and showing that their porn usage is high in their state. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was, what was the other one? Oh, I showed that the popular vote, if we use the popular vote, there'd be no Republican presidents except for one. Mm-hmm. Like that one is really powerful. In the last 20 years, there'd be only one Republican president if we use the popular vote. Like that has to send shivers up a lot of people on the right side. Like what's going on here? We're not consistently getting votes. Well, so I've done my part, in my opinion.
You'd hope
that's not how this works.
You'd hope that all the groups, whatever group they're in, look at their ideology. But a gay or trans person, it's about their biology, not their ideology. That's why they get persecuted, because their biology.
Right. But remember, my whole thing started with Democrats. I was trying to trigger the left, so I was being equal, now triggering the right.
Right. Okay.
Doug, here's the thing. I would hope you can take this seriously. As a critical thinker, sometimes it might be the case that being critical of both sides is not the critical position, in fact. Maybe, right?
I would say like on very specialized or specific things, you're right. But in the United States, it's a horrible political system where you basically only have 2 parties, right? And so it would be much better if the United States was more like Canada or other countries where you had like 6, 7, 8 really competing parties. But we don't have that. So in the United States, it's kind of stupid, but that's just the way it is. We got left and we got right. And basically there's no distinction in between. Like, I don't know, Jay, do you make a distinction between someone who's like you on the left versus like, I don't know, a more conservative? Like there's conservative Democrats. Do you make that distinction? Are they on your team?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part? You said...
Is a conservative Democrat on your team?
I often say no, not really. Sometimes I think they're worse, right? Because I often make the point that if you look at, say, primaries, right, which are so critical in the states as to who we actually have the opportunity to elect, right? You can't say that it's the Republicans or the Trumptons or whatever that are the reasons that we don't have the opportunity to elect more liberal candidate. That actually, by definition,
so it's really
is
the conservative
Democrats, right, who are, in my opinion, just as big of, or if not even a bigger roadblock to, because I actually think what would happen is if they did that, they would find that most people vote for those policies. So, for instance, if they actually let, like, say, a Bernie or somebody like that actually be the Democratic nominee, I think they would actually find that middle that they can't on their own. So,
what about a progressive Republican? What about I'm with
it. I'm with it. I sent Liz Cheney money.
Okay, so the issue really isn't Democrat or Republican for you. It's more the liberal conservative thing.
No. Well, in some sense, I think it plays that out. And that's only because, to be honest, I don't care about the political spectrum. It just so happens that in this country, I had to be honest about the fact that so many of the way I feel makes it such that I have to, in effect, vote Democrat because I'm basically in a forced choice situation where they're just more up my alley on most of the important issues, but I do so begrudgingly, right? So I agree with you about the spectrum being a huge difference, but I want to make sure before you go, I do say thank you for coming on. I actually do appreciate it, Doug.
No problem. So I'm not scared.
Yeah.
And you guys are both welcome to come on my channel too in the future. Like, no hard feelings about anything.
Yeah. Doug, it actually, I hope you understand, Doug. I feel very passionate about this, and because it is that I identify with different groups than you do, and I feel like you've recognized that. So thanks. I actually appreciate that. Yep.
Now I'm gonna go watch some football.
All right, take care. Enjoy the game.
Thank you, and good luck with poker.
All right. Thanks. I want to thank PineCreek for coming on. Of course, that was fun. So it's been an interesting episode.
And for our audience, thank you for staying with us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Pocket Locker. I'm gonna go try to watch Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, we're gonna get ready to watch some football over here ourselves. So
enjoy, and I'm glad you got a chance to talk to him.
Hey, we had a hot program.
Literally. I wish I'd had the presence of mind to say, you're hot. You're hot. Hot program. I wish. What an opportunity. And for those listening, that's how Hot Program got its name, from a show called Like It Is, when this guy, I don't know the man's name, he's interviewing Rabbi Seltzer and Joseph Vinyekinen, and they're arguing. He says, you're hot, hot program. And I said, that's got to be the name of something. And if James Apperson ever sees this, I want to encourage him. He said something that I think would make a great book title in case he ever writes one. He used the expression elements of reality. Think about it, James. All right, that's all I have to say other than and each other.
Well, as always, be good to yourselves.
And each other.
All right, thanks, my one black friend. Appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
All right, gang. I'm trying to think. So it's almost 7. I should go ahead and we'll wrap up so that I can get ready for the game and whatnot in here. Some of the gangs in Gather with me already. YouTube Punk, Carrie Ann, and Dave M. So we will head back over to the ranch. I'll see you all there. Yeah, what a show. That was fun. Yeah. After party and gather. How about that? Yeah, let's do that. Sunday night football, after party and gather. Actually, Uncle Bobby said he might come through for a bit, so we'll see. Who knows? He might find a pretty little distraction. I'll put it that way. So, but yeah, thanks everybody so much for your support. Been a fun day, fun couple of streams. Want to thank Uncle Bobby, of course, and my one black friend. Want to thank Doug for calling in. Want to thank the crew for linking up with me and Gather. Of course, want to thank my man James Apperson. All right, appreciate all you guys. Come watch the game with us. Play some cards. All right, in the name of the Darwin, the Dawkins, and the Christopher Hitchens. This makes sense, man. Science bless you all. Poof. Yeah, that was the wrong scene. Wrong scene.
Ready for takeoff.
Whoa. Working hard on my stump, what's the problem? I ain't had shit to show, being modest. Now it's grams of the wax for my conscience. Bron James in LA, you're on college. I've been jumping on them planes like a hobby. Still moving with the pack like my partners. Put the John on them jets cause you wildin'. Put the bowl is a party on the island, moment of silence. So good, get back to the topic. Grew up, it was me and Flocka. Grandma's and Big T, this my mama. I ain't even for the pain when my pots flip. Knew his name, that's it, never bothered. Mom said, you the man, son, you got this. Ever since I found a way to go and pop shit. Hold up, blaze through a whole zip. Took a seat at the table of my first flip. Days in red roof for my first whip. Spent the money with the gang, never post pics. Seen a change in the game, had to coach it. Never let them take my wangs in the mold, bitch. Ever made in a month, nigga. Used to serve him at the minute, just the front, nigga. Goddamn. Had to grow up quick, I made my own rules. Had my first child, got it jumping with music. Can't really hang with nobody who losing. I thought by now that you would go and get it, but I could hardly see niggas this distant. Know you get cropped if you not in the picture. And I made that tag and went got a bag. Shots to the Henny and OG prescriptions, put rebel shit on the map. Took a leap from where I started at, started ballin' now I'm Chris Paul and Cass. Got him steady calling for the mold, but I'm on a roll, gotta call him back. And that's all fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. All carry-on items should now be stowed securely, either in an overhead bin or under the seat in front of you. All aisles, exits, and bulkhead areas should now be clear. All electronic devices should now be turned off and stowed, as they may interfere with the aircraft's navigational and communication systems. Once airborne, we'll let you know when you may use approved electronic devices, but note that some items may not be used at any time during the flight. You'll find a list of approved devices in the in-flight information section.
Ready for takeoff.
Whoa. Working hard on my stump, what's the problem? I ain't had shit to show, being modest. Now it's grams of the wax for my conscience. Bron James in LA, you're on college. I've been jumping on them planes like a hobby. Still moving with the pack like my partners. Put the John on them jets cause you wildin'. Put the bowl is a party on the island, moment of silence. So good.